cars are lined up on the grid. The iWCGPS World Championship Grand Prix Series. We are underway. They all come down into turn one for the first time. Round number 12 of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series saw drivers head back home again to Indiana, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the track which hosted the 2000 through 2006 Formula One World Championship event, which didn't host a race in 2014, but is back for the 2015 campaign. Now, last time out, Martin Kroenke showed that Coanda can step up to the plate. Whenever you go toe-to-toe with Team Redline and Gregor Huttu, Huttu comes back strong, and that is exactly what he did in qualifying, blitzing the field in what are some very windy, difficult track conditions. These conditions only got worse as we headed ourselves closer to race time, and the big issue was going to be, could all the drivers survive down that very long straightaway in towards turn number one and deal with the crosswinds across the racetrack. The start was good for Huttu. In fact, the start was pretty much good for the entire field. The first big issue came at the conclusion of lap number one, as Ali Picala and Rocco Baroni, who had each had good qualifyings, came together on the straightaway. Game over, both out of the event. We had more drama down in the mid-pack, but the key story of the day was simple. Gregor Huttu was back dominating the field. He was on a two-stopper compared to every other driver who was on a one-stop strategy, but he made it work, building up gaps of almost 1 second per lap over times. Now, Coanda, they had themselves a bit of a hit and miss qualifying, especially with Martin Kroenke. Kroenke, with a bit of help from people crashing around him and his teammates not pushing him too hard, was able to move up into P number 2 come race end. But what that means is he's now, once again, 64 points behind in the championship with just 4 rounds remaining. Next time out, we go back to Circuit Spa-Francorchamps that hosted the first round of the championship as we begin to close out the season. It's going to be as simple as win or go home if you are Martin Kroenke, because there's now only 200 points on offer, and we know that this is likely to be Kroenke's strongest track and arguably Huttu's weakest. Catch it as always on iRacing Live and on RaceSpot TV, 29th of August, 1:30 PM GMT. With 12 races of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series 2015 in the books, we head ourselves back to where we began the season, back to Circuit Spa-Francorchamps. We welcome you here to late August bank holiday on RaceSpot TV. Wilvinson along with Johnny Simone as we have just got ourselves underway for qualifying. As always, drivers have themselves 3 laps to go as fast as they absolutely possibly can to try and get themselves to the front of the field, to pole position and set themselves up for as good a start in this race as possible. Now, the first time we came here this season, it is Dracula, Alexei Usiakola, who completely dominated the field. And, well, it's a track that he's always been strong at, but Ever since his first two races of the season, Dracula has fallen off the pace. You can see him here in that number 4 Team Redline car, heading himself now out of the coom, down the hill towards Rivage in that number 4 Team Redline machine. But Martin Kroenke now has to win races like there's no tomorrow. With only a handful of races left in the championship, if he doesn't win here today, and if Hutu can claim another victory, well, that championship is almost certainly locked up for the Finnish driver. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to iRacing Live. Welcome to RaceSpot TV. As you can see there on the left-hand side of your screen, qualifying times have already started to appear. Your top place driver for the time being is Martin Kroenke. 1 minute 47.165 for the time being. He leads away. Mitchell de Jong is just coming out of pit road. He was in second place. He's out for another run, Johnny. About 3/100ths of a second behind Martin Kroenke.
Yeah, good to see Coanda Sim Sport up here in qualifying. They need to up their strength in these early sessions. And first of all, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another round. From my point of view in the booth is quite eager, and I'm on the edge of my seat here in this session, because we know every race winner this season won from pole position, but every winner this season has won a race, and they have been on pole position as well. So it goes to show that the fast drivers who can nail their qualifying laps have the pace to win over a race distance as well.
Indeed, and that is why we always turn our attention to Mr. 4-time, Mr. Gregor Hutu in the number 1 Team Redline machine. Currently scored in P4 in qualifying, 191/1000ths of a second behind Martin Kroenke in that battle for pole position. Ironically, just 1/1000th of a second ahead of Mogar Philo. Philo always seems to be strong at this track. Radicals always seems to be strong at this track, although one of their drivers, Paul Ilbrink, will be starting today's race from the rear of the field. There's Luke then on board with Gregor Hutu through sector number 1 on this racetrack, as he's going to head himself on an outlap. As you can see, de Jong on track, Hutu on track, Philo on track, Benito on track, Ikola on track, Kroenke and Picala just keeping it nice and steady on pit road. But your top 3 drivers for the time being are separated by just 1/10 of a second, Johnny.
Yeah, very close through the field. Also interesting to note, Gregor Hutu, while crossing live to the broadcast, he had a damaged front wing on the right hand side of the end plate, so that was on his first lap, not on this lap now. He's currently going to begin a much faster time, because that certainly would have impeded him. He might have maybe damaged that on his outlap, so we're not quite sure. I couldn't locate where it happened, but I mean, certainly uncharacteristic seeing that.
Yeah, the high curbs of Spa can wreak havoc with these race cars. We see de Jong on board with him as he goes through the Air Rouge Radio Complex. You can see there, not lifting out of the gas at all. 280 kilometers an hour through the apex of the corner. De Jong looking strong right now in that Coanda Sim Sports car, heading himself up the hill, and he'll go down towards turn number 4 and 5, the Lecum Complex once again. That is sector 1 already in the books for him. 32.71 second lap for Mitchell de Jong there, Johnny.
Oh, Mitchell de Jong, and what can he provide us today as well? Especially, look at him now, sweeping his way through turn 11, the rear end, trying to step out through that corner. And yeah, we really want to see something good from him. He hasn't attended every single race this season. We know the part-time schedule we always mention he runs, so definitely not going to win the title, but he can gather as many points as he can, and I think at Spa he's definitely showing his pace.
Of course, he won 9 out of 10 rounds of the 2014/15 iRacing.com Pro Series of Road Racing, so we know this guy is good. He is just 3/100ths of a second behind Kroenke. Jeremy Bouteloup moves up into 3rd, just 2/1000ths of a second behind de Jong. What a great lap there by Jeremy Bouteloup for the Radical Steel Series organisation. Down into the bus stop chicane will come Mitchell de Jong, gunning for the start-finish line. Will he get himself pole position? The answer to that question is going to be, I don't think he did. We'll get confirmation up, and the answer is going to be no, he doesn't. De Jong is in second. Kroenke is on another run right now. He's on his outlap, working himself towards the start-finish line. Hutu, he's on a lap, past the start-finish line. Hutu to pole position there.
Oh, amazing. Gregor Hutu again, nailing qualifying. And hopefully Kroenke can step out. Yeah, Kroenke is on an out lap right now, so he has to step up the pace to beat Gregor. But once again, the Finn proving his worth as always.
Yep, there we have a look then on board with Ollie Picard. That is on the exit. This is the run through the Little King down towards the Lacoon corner. So Picard is in P5. So it's currently, as it stands, red line from Coanda, from Radicals, from Redline. Hugo Louise in 6th then for the Coanda Sim Sports organisation. Then of course you've got Redline in P7 with Yakola, another driver for Radicals in P8, that is Mo Garfido. P9 and is Alex Simpson for Apex Racing UK, good qualifying by him. Then enter Benito. Not often we've seen Benito this season actually. He is currently running in P in number 9. Down towards last source he will come. He currently scored in P number 10 in that number 9 Team Redline car, Johnny.
Yeah, good to see Enzo out here. Remember that disappointing race at Monza. Could have been maybe a second place for him, but he butchered it, spun off the track. So he's here today. Hopefully he nails this lap. Only 2 minutes and 11 seconds to go. We know drivers have to complete their lap before the timer ticks to 0. So different rules here in the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. I'd say Kirchhoff also back. He's in P18, and I think that's his qualifying session done. But for now, we follow Enzo, and he is really pushing to the limit.
Yeah, there we are. Benito down in towards Rivard. To give you an update, there is Martin Kroenke. Exit of Stavolo down towards the bus stop chicane. He comes. We ride along board with him then. And you can see up to 300 clicks an hour in towards Blanchimont. The fate of Thomas Enger in 2001, of course, in that Prost. Always sticks in the mind, but now down to the second slowest corner in the racetrack, just 90 kilometers an hour through the apex. Bacala moves himself up into P2. Can Kroenke respond as he heads himself past the start-finish line? Martin Kroenke for Coanda Sim Sports will remain in 3rd place as it stands. It's all over for Martin Kroenke. Red line 1-2 once again, Johnny.
Oh, incredible stuff. And Pacala at the last minute, only about 1/100th of a second, yeah, in front of Martin Kroenke. And Kroenke's laps, incredible, almost absolutely identical. Talk about muscle memory and practice. And now drivers are leaving this session confident of their positions, very close to the top of the timesheet. So 1/10 separating P1 to P5.
Yeah, there you can see Alex Simpson in the Apex Racing UK car heading himself now towards the start-finish line. As he does so, the Leopoldina Sim Series car moves himself up to P6, ahead of Hugo Louise and Alexei Yusiakola. Best qualifying of the season then for the Apex Racing UK car.
No, he's making up for Sebastian Job's absence from today's qualifying session. So, oh, Alex Simpson, incredible stuff. Where's that been all season? And he at least he's shown it sometime soon. Only a few rounds to go. Maybe he can have a good race and carry that form on for the rest of the season.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look then through your final qualifying results from this qualifying for round number 13 of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. Gregor Hutu then, qualifying time of 1:47.076, claims another pole position over his countryman and teammate Ollie Picard, who lines up in 2nd place, just 3/4 of a tenth behind on track. 3rd place will go to Martin Kroenke inside row number 2, joined by Coanda Sim Sports Mitchell de Jong on that 2nd row of the grid. Then in row number 3, you've got Radicals Online, Jeremy Bootsloop on the inside, and Alex Simpson for the Apex Racing UK organisation on the outside. Row number 4 goes to Hugo Louise in P number 7 for Coanda, and then Alexei Yusiakola, a disappointing qualifying after what we saw from him back in March. He rounds out in P number 8. Mo Garfido is in 9th place with Paul Ilbrink, his teammate, alongside him, in all Radicals row number 5, although Ilbrink will start this race from the rear of the field. Enter Benito for P number 11 for Team Redline. Mac back in behind him. Then Andre Borgia, Patrick Holtzman, Yal Vaz, Rocker Barone, Avery, Higlin, Kirchhoff and Sturgis round out your top 20. There are additional qualifying times to come through. We'll give you an indication of those as we can. But, well, we're going to step aside for just one moment, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back with the pole lap and so much more after these messages. You're watching RaceSpot TV.
For iRacing to get Le Mans is huge. I mean, this is a unique event, a unique track where, you know, half of the track is public road, so you can never test on it, you never get experience on it, and it's 8 miles in length, 4-minute lap time in a GT car. So, you know, even if you're here for an hour of testing, that's only 15 laps, and you're only going to see the corner 15 times that day. The first section going through the Dunlop area is pretty unique. You know, it's got elevation change and off camber. Then you go down Mulsanne into the chicanes, and you know, the straights are unbelievably long. It's a tricky track, and you know, every year I've come here, this is being my 4th year, you learn something new every time.
We've wanted to add Le Mans to iRacing for a long time, and we've really been working hard towards it for the last 5 years. But really, things only came together in the last week leading up to this race, so it was a real scramble to put everything together. The majority of Le Mans is public roads. So when they're preparing for the 24-hour race, it's really the only time that we can visit to laser scan and photograph the track so that we can recreate it in iRacing. We work closely with the ACO to get essentially exclusive access to the facility and everything that we needed to get the laser scanning and photographic reference that we need to create the track. We were very fortunate to be at Le Mans at the most important time of the year and gain that experience of being there. And we're going to really do the best we can to put that into our work and making sure that the Le Mans in iRacing is the best Le Mans, the most exciting and accurate recreation of the track possible.
Qualifying is in the books for another round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. Just 200 points now left on offer, and Gregor Hutu inches himself one step closer to his 5th, yes, 5th World Championship. Now, you don't score any points for qualifying, but what you do, you put yourself with clear traffic into La Source, and that is exactly what that number 1 Team Redline driver has done once again. Give you confirmation then of your top 15 drivers in qualifying. Gregor Hutu will start on pole position, qualifying time of a 147.076. Ollie Picarda alongside him on that front row of the grid. Then Martin Kroenke, Mitchell de Jong in row number 2. Jeremy Bootloop, Alex Simpson in row 3. Hugo Louise and Alexi Usiakola in row 4. Mogar Philo, Paul Ilbrink in row number 5. Enzo Benito, Matt Backham in row 6. Then Andre Borgia, Kazuki Omishima in row number 7. Ilka Hapada running out your top 15 drivers. Drivers who attempted to qualify for this race and will not start are Fernando Guerrero, a Pro Series driver, and Diego Oliveira. They are guaranteed not to start, but also Cam Stark and Pablo Lopez, they may not be able to start this race due to, Johnny, the rules concerning Pro Series driver participation in the World Championship Series.
Yeah, we all know those rules. Top 35 make it through, and with a World Championship license, that is. Unfortunate to see Fernando Guerrero not make it. He's a good friend of mine. I would have loved him to get some World Championship experience, but he's not going to be racing, obviously. Nevertheless, and rather wonderful pole position lap from Gregor Hutu, Will, and I think today, I don't want to call it early, as easy it is as to overtake around Spa, Hutu could still run away from this lead if he does short fuel himself in the first stint.
That's exactly what we saw last time out. To give you, ladies and gentlemen, just a bit more of an indication why you may not see Cam Stark and Pablo Lopez in the field here today. They are Pro Series drivers. They are not World Championship licensed drivers. They are preparing to run the 2015 Pro Series of Road Racing, which you will see, of course, here on RaceSpot TV. Because Justin Lindsay and David Corps have set a qualifying time, even though they are slower than the likes of Stark and Lopez, they get priority in entry to the races, which is why Stark, Lopez, Guerrero and Oliveira will not be taking part in today's event. 4 Pro Series drivers, however, have attempted, actually more than 4 Pro Series drivers, I'll take that back. We've had ourselves over half a dozen Pro Series drivers attempting to make today's field. Even though 4 of them won't race, it's great to see so many Pro Series drivers in the field. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now just going to run you through a lap. This is the pole position driver lap on board with the one and only Gregor Hutu. This is him on board through Blanchimont, and then of course he heads himself down in towards the bus stop chicane. Now, Johnny, we see on board laps, we talk us through the corners every single time around this racetrack. No point in doing it once again. But Hutu, what you'll notice is the fact that he's so good getting onto the power. Even though that red line car is not the fastest in a straight line, he will always have the advantage coming out of a corner.
And that's most important on the exit of La Source, is where you really have to get on the power early, because Eau Rouge, as fun as it is essentially a full throttle corner. So the exit from La Source is important all the way towards the end of the Kemmel Straight. You can gain a couple of tenths if you get that right. And then obviously the exit of Stavelot and on towards Blanchimont, another exit that's important, another long straight. So Gregor, this is a track that will suit him well, and we've seen that today.
Yeah. So we just lost our onboard feed, but there we are. Gregor Hutu back with him, and this is on the run now, down on the exit of Lacombe in towards Rivage. Sector 2, you talk about, you know, defining your sectors, and Johnny, Spa is a track that really, and we saw this in the Grand Prix last weekend as well. Sector 1 and Sector 3 are very different to Sector number 2. Sector 1 and 3, you want that car to be trimmed out. Sector 2, you need the aerodynamic grip. Have just lost Johnny there, but here you can see on board then with Hutu one more time on the exit of the Fong chicane. Down in towards Stavelot they come, and from here you pretty much line that gas pedal out, flat out, all the way, Johnny, into the bus stop chicane.
Yeah, the bus stop chicane, really important not to overdo it. You know, a lot of drivers want to make up that extra 1 or 2 tenths through the corner. You're not going to make up that much time. So it's just important to break the same point you've broken at for the past 2 weeks, you know, or, sorry, dabbed onto the brakes. That was poor English. But, yeah, you don't want to butcher the lap in this final corner. You just want to get it right and sweep it in on towards the short run to the start-finish line.
Well, there we are. Another pole position there for Gregor Hutu. Absolutely incredible stuff for him, as once again he will be starting today's race on pole position. Ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to stop for a minute and we're going to talk about something else, because many of you will know that I am a huge IndyCar fan. It's a sport that I've grown up with, and it's a sport that I love more than any other. And of course, this past week we have lost Justin Wilson, who was driving for Andretti Autosport in the Pocono 500. Now, the first real commentary I ever did on iRacing was for the Dan Weldon 77 race, which took place a couple of weeks after Dan Weldon's passing at the 2011 Las Vegas race, which we all know, and I'll be honest, that race was a total joke from beginning to end. It never should have happened. There's been so many people who said so many things over the course of the last week, and it always happens after anyone dies in such horrible and tragic circumstances. They always look into the whats, the ifs, the whys. They always try to question every single little circumstance around what happens. And it generally means that we forget about the issues that really matter. The fact that we have lost another racing driver, another warrior in his field. But even more importantly than that, there is another wife who has lost her husband. There are children who are never going to be able to go and get their first day at school, go and do their graduation, go and get married and see dad. That is the important thing. And I've seen some very supportive stories, and if any of you have heard about the Justin Wilson Foundation, please consider giving some money to that. But on the other side of that, I have seen some very vicious stories which do nothing to remember the legacy of Justin, but only serve to essentially create more media hype for the sense of creating more media hype. That's not what we're going to do here today. What we are going to do, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to step aside for a moment. We'll be right back. Let's remember Justin together. Ladies and gentlemen, I always say that motorsports is a crazy world, and you always look at the back of any single motorsports ticket, and it says motorsports is dangerous. But I think something really poignant came out of this past week when Stefan Wilson was talking about how you have to continue racing, and that is what races do. They continue racing all the time. And that is what Julia would have wanted. That is what Justin would have wanted to. And that is why drivers and teams around the world continue to race. It's the reason why the Verizon IndyCar Series continues on at the GoPro Grand Prix of Sonoma this weekend. And again, we wish all of our thoughts, all of our prayers to Justin, to Julia, the entire family. But we will be back in a moment. And we're going to run round number 13 of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series, and it will be good, it will be enjoyable, it will be excitable, so please stick with us here on RaceSpot TV and iRacing Live.
The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com has officially begun.
For iRacing to get Le Mans is huge. I mean, this is a unique event, a unique track where, you know, half of the track is public road, so you can never test on it, you never get experience on it, and it's 8 miles in length, 4-minute lap time in a GT car. So, you know, even if you're here for an hour of testing, that's only 15 laps, and you're only going to see the corner 15 times that day. The first section going through the Dunlop area is pretty unique. You know, it's got elevation change and off camber. Then you go down Mulsanne into the chicanes, and you know, the straights are unbelievably long. It's a tricky track, and you know, every year I've come here, being my 4th year, you learn something new every time.
We've wanted to add Le Mans to iRacing for a long time, and we've really been working hard towards it for the last 5 years. But really, things only came together in the last week leading up to this race. So it was a real scramble to put everything together. The majority of Le Mans is public roads. So when they're preparing for the 24-hour race, it's really the only time that we can visit to laser scan and photograph the track so that we can recreate it in iRacing. We work closely with the ACO to get essentially exclusive access to the facility and everything that we needed to get the laser scanning and photographic reference that we need to create the track. We were very fortunate to be at Le Mans at the most important time of the year and gain that experience of being there. And we're going to really do the best we can to put that into our work and making sure that the Le Mans in iRacing is the best Le Mans, the most exciting and accurate recreation of the track possible.
There are some racetracks that need absolutely no introduction, and the host of the 13th round of the iRacing Grand Prix World Championship Grand Prix Series is one of those. It's simply Circuit Spa-Francorchamps. Now, in qualifying, Hutu once again scored pole position in the way that only Gregor Hutu can, by coming down after being behind in his first lap to grasping that pole position and making it a Team Redline 1-2. The driver in 3rd place is Martin Cronke. He has to get himself a win. This is where we will likely see Commander SimSports go off strategy, doing anything they possibly can to get themselves the W. But we saw last time out that Gregor Hutu, he's not too unfamiliar with the odd off strategy himself. We all remember the fact, for example, that he was the only driver in the top 20 to do a 2-stopper the last time out, and that is one of the reasons why he headed to victory lane. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to magnificent Circuit Spa-Francorchamps here in the Ardennes Mountains in Belgium for this round number 13 of the World Championship Grand Prix Series. Will Vincent, along with Johnny Simone, we are about 4 minutes away to heading to the starting grid. And Johnny, we say the track means no introduction. There's good reason. This track is simply magnificent.
Yep, I'm not going to mention it. It's magnificent. Everybody knows Spa. You can race any car, grab any car from iRacing, you can race it around here and enjoy yourself, have some fun. Whether it's on your own or with other drivers around you, it is going to be a thriller. what else is a thriller is these last 3 minutes, Will, the end of warm-up. This is the time that I hate as a driver. The nerves just build up. You can't be bothered warming up for the race. You just want to get out there and start and start lapping those 44 laps, so we have to count down.
Yeah, it's a full race distance here this August bank holiday weekend. 44 laps these drivers are going to have to deal with. Here is a look at your starting grid, though, for this afternoon's event. And it's brought to you by And1 Design, the official graphics partner of RaceSpot TV. 1 minute 47.076 is the time it took Gregor Hutu, the Finnish #1 Team Redline driver, to traverse around this 4.4 mile racetrack. He has pole position by 3/4 of a tenth over Olli Pekala. Now, that's a all Team Redline front row. It's an all Commander SimSport second row. Martin Kroenke in third, Mitchell de Jong in the fourth position. You head on back and you notice that then in row number, sorry ladies and gentlemen, just do that. In row number 3, it's Jeremy Bootaloo for Radicals Online, one of his best qualifyings of the season. Then Alex Simpson for Apex Racing UK, his best qualifying of the season as well. Now, Hugo Louise is used to starting in P number 7. He does so once again. It's a bad day, though, for Alexei Yusiakola, all the way in P number 8. Of course, he won the spring race earlier on this year. Mo Garfilo in P number 9 for the Radicals Online organisation. Then Paul Ilbrink in 10th, also for Radicals. Matt Backham in P11, also for Radicals Online organisation, our highest placed pro driver. Andre Borcher for Commander SimSports, a lowly 12th place for him here today. You go back a little bit further and you see that Kazuki Omishima is in 13th, Ilka Hapada 14th, Patrick Holtzman in 15th, and Yunus Nakurian on the outside of row number 8. Yalvaz, Rocco Barone in row number 9, Richard Avery and Robin Friscott rounding out your top 20 places. Now, there's a number of drivers who qualified who didn't get into the race. We'll come to those in just one moment's time, just cycling through them. The last of the drivers to make the field. We talked about a couple of drivers who would get in. Riccardo Taulo and Martin Piatella make it in at the very rear of the field. That means we've lost ourselves a good number of Pro Series drivers because of the eligibility factor there.
Yeah. So, not good for them. Why doesn't Rico shoot this small? I don't know why he doesn't practice more. Remember, he's on pole at, what was it, Road Atlanta? Was it 2013, 2014?
2012, I think.
2012, sorry, yeah. So, what? He should practice more. He's a promising driver. He's out here for fun, though, and I think that's the main thing we're all here for in sim racing as the viewers or the drivers. We're here for fun. Some of these drivers are here for a bit of cash, but most of them are here for fun.
Yep. Well, as far as weather goes today, Johnny, not as bad as it was at Indy 2 weeks ago.
No, certainly not. At Indy, we saw lap times, especially qualifying, was noticeable where, I mean, you get a good lap, you know, relatively driving wise, you'd nail your lines and everything, but if wind direction wasn't going in your favor, then you'd lose maybe 5-10 positions. I think today it's a little bit lenient for the drivers, won't be as harsh as last round, so won't be too big of a factor, but it still will play a part.
Indeed. Well, drivers are now heading themselves down to the starting grid here. There is a look up above at our aerial coverage, which, ladies and gentlemen, is brought to you here today by And1 Design, official graphics partner of RaceSpot TV. We have a look patiently on board with Mitchell de Jong. Our onboard coverage is brought to you by the iRacing Forum app for Android. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Circuit Spa-Francorchamps. It is one of the greatest racetracks in the world. It's a track which always gets people going, and the drivers are just heading themselves now down to that starting grid, just waiting for one of them. That is Martin Kroenke. Actually, two more, Justin Lindsay and Riku Alatalo at the rear of your field. Lindsay is in, waiting now only for Riku Alatalo in the number 45 machine. We've got 34 of the 35 drivers ready to go, waiting for one more. And then we'll go racing for 44 laps around this absolutely magnificent racetrack. Waiting for those lights to go on top of the gantry, waiting for them to go out. We are racing here at Spa. Green flag in the air, down and towards turn number 1 for the first time. Hutu, good start, better start by Kroenke, up into P number 2 already. go on board with him. It's actually, no, I take that back. Kroenke's lost the position. That is another. That's De Jong actually up into P number 2, Johnny. Battling already with Hutu up the hill. And it looks like De Jong is going to try and move himself to the outside. The newcomer versus the champion in towards Leclerc for the first time.
Oh, side by side behind with Gula as well. Almost outbreaking themselves, but De Jong has to settle for P2. I think Pakula might still P3 from Kroenke. Incredible stuff here, side by side. And Pakula gets P3 away. Kroenke still has to defend from Alex Simpson, I believe, in P5, who's also had a wicked start.
Yep, so it's Hutu from De Jong, from Pakula, from Kroenke, then Simpson into P5 ahead of Jeremy Bootsloop, and Yakola 7, Louise 8, Philo 9, and Ilbrink rounding out your top 10. But out front, Hutu leads. De Jong is not going to let him scarf away. I have a feeling here, Johnny, that De Jong is deliberately going to be a pick here to help out Martin Kroenke. Whatever crazy thing that Red Line will do, De Jong is going to match it. But De Jong has to push in these opening laps, otherwise that advantage will be lost immediately.
Well, De Jong had a rapid start, so that could maybe reveal that he is lighter fueled. We don't know. He's taking a very tight line into Blanchimont, though. If he's going to attack Gregor Hutu, it has to be early in the stint. We don't know Hutu's fuel strategy. We're expecting 2 stops, but who knows how short-fueled Gregor Hutu is in the early stages of this race. So De Jong now already pushing 4 tenths behind at the end of the first lap.
Martin Kroenke looks anxious in P number 4 versus Oli Bacala. Down in towards La Source he comes. Kroenke got a better exit at the first stage of the corner. Couldn't then get onto the gas, but that might not be a bad thing. You can see he's trying to break that draft, trying to get himself a little bit of clean air into Air Rouge, now into Radion. You can see the gap is 1/10 of a second. Kroenke is charging round the outside. He will come then as they go down in towards Leclerc. Kroenke wants that 3rd place, and it looks like he may get it, but he'll have to go the long way around. Kroenke, will he steal it? Pakula alongside him. They almost make contact. Kroenke will force his way through. Kroenke into P number 3. That is critically important for the championship, Johnny.
No, not critically, absolutely. It's so important. You can't even put words to it. I know Bootloop's also gotten past Alex Simpson, so Jeremy Bootloop on a charge as well. But Pakula in front, maybe he's heavier fueled. He's lost that incredible amount of time to the 2 leaders of De Jong and Hutu. De Jong might be in the lead as well.
Yeah, De Jong has moved himself to the point there, so we can see that away from our screens, Mitchell De Jong now leads this motorway. It's going to get ourselves a replay of that one for you, if we can, on board with Mitchell De Jong. And if this is what I think it is, then it shows that Coanda have given up. They've given up their old long strategy here of really having that shorter gear. And you can see just how easy it was for De Jong to draft up behind and pass at red line car. No one really ever goes round the outside of Gregor Hutu. Mitchell De Jong has just done that. He now leads this motor race, Johnny. Incredible stuff. But it shows a change of strategy here for Coanda Sim Sports.
Yeah, and this is something you have to investigate in the past 2 weeks in every race. You know, what strategy is going to be the best. So Coanda now have to...
Oh, going to car turn around!
Usual...
Sorry, INX Racing car turn around. That's Jake Sturgis there in the number 5 INX Racing car. That is on the exit of the bus stop chicane, getting ourselves another look at that one. But we had ourselves a couple of drivers. There were 2 almost 3 wide on the exit of the bus stop. We're having a look here. This is Jake Sturgis with the Triple M car of Fulvio Barazzini. Barazzini all the way off the racetrack as they head themselves down in towards the bus stop, and then he just got himself a little bit messy there. Jake Sturgis, you see, made contact there with Barazzini once, does it again twice, I think. Indeed, he does, and that is why Jake Sturgis gets turned around. Doesn't clip Barazzini again. Very lucky that Orion Race Team car, though, didn't get hit. It was mighty, mighty close there.
Yeah, and it was a bit scruffy from Jake. It seemed like he got stuck on that anti-cut curb. He's damaged his front wing end plate as well, so maybe a couple of repairs, we don't know, but he's not too far away from the back of the pack in P26 now, so he's detrimented himself there, and he's still not too far away from the pack, so his race is certainly not over.
Looking at P9 versus P10, Mogar Philo versus Matt Backham. Matt Backham has been a sensation to the RaceSpot World Championship Grand Prix Series. Ladies and gentlemen, we do apologise for the late starting of our live timing and scoring. That should be working for you in just 1 moment's time. But Mo Garfield versus Backham, two Radicals online drivers battling at the rear in the top 10. Matt Backham has been an absolute sensation in this series. Hugo Louise is battling it out with Alex Simpson as well. Louise looking down to the inside there of Simpson, down into the bus stop, not able to do so. We go on board then with Louise on the run down in towards La Source. She can't easily pass down into that first corner, and Hugo Louise knows that one oh so well, Johnny.
Yeah, he has to play the patient game, gets a good run out of Eau Rouge now. I think he should, or not should, he's definitely going to get him at the top of Eau Rouge and Redillon. So we'll watch now, Hugo Louise sweeping it in, trying not to get affected by the dirty air, just using that rear wing as a reference point. And look at this, a bit of a late maneuver, wasn't sure where Simpson was going to defend, and that could have costed Louise a shot here at P7, it has. So he might be stuck behind Alex for another lap. There are huge miscommunication between the drivers, but the good thing is that their race isn't over. We saw that happen with Pakula last round, and I believe, so he was out of the race straight after that, wasn't he? So
yeah,
not good for him. And Luis now, at least he's still in the race.
For Louise, 2 wheels on the grass. Is that back at the rear of that pad, who is so far off track on the exit of No Name Corner? I'm surprised he kept it on the racetrack at all. As we just see there, there we are, Backham actually looking down to the inside of his teammate, Mo Garfield, down into the final chicane. That is not a traditional overtaking opportunity, but he will stay in line for the time being. De Jong right now has a 0.8 of a second advantage over the driver of Gregor Hutu. Go on board of Hutu then for the remainder of this lap. The gap is about 0.8 of a second. De Jong here, he has got 2 jobs, Johnny. He's got to back up Hutu to Martin Kroenke, but then also he's got to finish ahead of Hutu to ensure that Hutu gains as few points as possible. Because if Kroenke wins every single round in the championship, that is not enough.
Yeah, so that's the important part here for De Jong, is to help his teammate out. He's not going for the championship, hasn't really been at every race, but I think the key for De Jong is just to go as far forward as he can, rather than concentrate on defending from Hutu. I think De Jong just needs to finish as high up as he can. If he is slow and Hutu is trying to pass him, then yes, he does need to impede Gregor as much as he possibly can to help Martin out, because Martin is only 1.3 seconds behind Gregor, so it's very, very close, and it's something we'll have to analyse for the next 40 laps, certainly.
Having a look down in the middle part of your pack, a lovely look there. These drivers go themselves through Eau Rouge Radio. Left-hand side of your screen, your moves and shakers in the race so far. Look at that. Mitchell De Jong up 3 places. Your biggest mover inside the top 10 now leads this motor race. We've got Philo up into the top 10. Yakola up 2 positions. Martin Piatella is showing up as up 17 places in today's event. What a drive so far by Martin Piatella in that Koanda Sim Sports car. Now, that's incredible.
Now that's something you practice for, certainly, with back of the grids and everything. You're going to practice your start. Sometimes drivers like to just get with their teammates and they just practice just trying to slice through, go side by side through corners and everything to see what it's like to battle on the first lap. So Marty's certainly practicing well there. Yeah,
and the Finnish driver is currently just behind Yao Vaz in the battle for P number 16 on track. After Vaz, there'll be a gap of about 2.7 seconds before any other victims. That will be another Orion Race Team car, and that will be Ilka Hapade, as you can see there. Easily through goes Martin Piatella in that Koanda Sim Sports car. We just lost our 360 cam for a moment there, sorry, but yeah, there you can see Piatella now into P number 16. Ilka Hapade just up the road by 3 seconds. Hutu's gained on De Jong by about 0.2 of a second that previous lap. Ilka Hapade is also battling out with Barazzini for P number 14-15, Johnny.
Yeah, good to see battles throughout the field as well. I'm watching, actually not watching, sorry, I heard news that Anton Hegelin out of the race. Got caught up in a little bit of an incident with somebody, so unfortunately his race is over, and those battles throughout the field here is incredible to see. But Piatella, as we spoke about before, incredible start. I'm still amazed. So let's see where his race goes on from here. Maybe even a top 10 finish. He is definitely light fueled for the start of this stint.
Yeah, just having a look at Riccardo Talo, actually. He's down 1 lap already. The only driver scored as a 1 lap down in this event. Andre Borgia, Kazuki Omishima, and Antoine Hegelin are all classified as out of this event as it stands. To try and give you an update as to what happened now, of course, we were focusing on the front end of your field. 35 drivers started in today's race. Alex Simpson shot back into P number 10 all of a sudden, Johnny. From P number 6 he was at one point. He's down in P10.
Yeah, he's been mugged by a few drivers, gone off at as well, passed by Backham and Filio, so I think he's just been a little bit unsettled. Luis has gotten past him as well initially, so if Alex Simpson, maybe the race pace isn't there, fuel could be a bit higher in the early stages of this stint, but finally for Hugo at least, he's gotten past him. He's got 2.5 seconds to make up on Alexei Usiakla, and that's what I was talking about, Will, is that De Jong made it count. He got past Hutu as soon as he could, and for Hugo Luis, he's already lost 2.5 seconds. Imagine if he was stuck behind Alex for another few more laps.
Yeah.
It could have been about maybe 5-6 seconds to Alexei.
It could have been catastrophic. So having a look down on the mid part of your pack, this is the mid to rear part. You can see there you've got yourself Justin Lindsay, another Quantic car down to the inside and past. Jorge Montanez there. And Montanez not... Oh! Almost ran into his own teammate of Patrick Holtzman on the exit of the bus stop chicane. That was a bit crazy there.
Oh, and that's something as a driver you just don't expect. You know, Patrick had such a good exit on both of them. He almost tapped. I think he did give a little tap to his teammate in the other Movano Thrustmaster X racing car. So for Patrick, at least he doesn't have much damage. I'm having a look at the car now. None of it. But he's going to get past his teammate here on the Kemmel Straight. We could see some three-wide battling, actually. But no, Jorge does not have the straight line speed. Patrick up the inside now. And this is going to be straight candy from a baby move. His teammate lets him through.
Yep, there we can see we're running ourselves along board, and Montana is now down into P number 25 on track. Out from, let's go back and have a look at the battle between De Jong and Gregor Hutu, the driver who runs in the the Red Bull Rallycross driver versus Gregor Hutu, the 4-time iRacing.com world champion of Grand Prix racing. There is Hutu in the Team Redline car. Now, I talked about the fact that Koanda's gear seems a bit longer. Hutu cannot gain anything in a straight line here.
No, it doesn't seem to. So, as Backham as well in P8 and P9, him and Filio are getting feisty. But yeah, for Gregor Hutu, well, he's 3/10 behind now. I think, let's have a look at this in the exit at La Sourceville. The corner, which I hate so much, and you can see why. Hutu tries to get a good run, and when you overdo it, you don't get a good exit at all, and so it's cost Hutu there. But he's going to have a great slipstream run here at Mitchell de Jong for the lead.
Yep, as you can see, it is Hutu down to 2/10 per second. This is now going to be De Jong having to play defense, and I think maybe De Jong might have got a penalty because that was a lot of time lost. But Gregor Hutu once again leads this motor race. Hutu has now got himself past Koanda Simsports, and that was a very interesting situation. I am wondering, maybe, just maybe, there's something that we need to review there. We're going to get ourselves another look as we can there with Mitchell de Jong. This is him up the hill he comes. Does he just cut across Radion too much, I wonder? No, he does. Ah, he gets the wiggle. That was what it was there, Johnny. Yeah. He gets the wiggle, and at that point, he was a sitting duck. And, well, we talked about, who was it? Max Verstappen, who got himself a big wiggle in qualifying for the Belgian Grand Prix. Well, there we are. Mitchell de Jong just had one of his own.
Yeah, and that bump there really kills you. They're coming across now to Curb Paul Ferrer. There's a bump here, which you don't really feel unless you've set up your car well. So if you've set up your car well, you don't feel it, is what I meant to say. But you jump in, for example, when I jumped into the DW12 for the first time, and I drove it around here as Hutu's trying some sneaky breaking the slipstream tactics from Mitchell. Yeah, that bump will really send your car into the outside wall. So a few bumps here on this laser scan circuit for iRacing that can really unsettle your vehicle, but for Mitchell it's cost him the lead, and it's certainly more than just a small bump. It's been a big catastrophe so far to his pursuit of a race win.
Must be Teller. It's just going to go side by side. He will move himself there past. He did that down at the fastest corner of the racetrack. Martin Piatella side by side with Fulvio Barazzini. Piatella moves himself up to P number 14. Barazzini down into the 15th spot on the racetrack. It has not been that good a race so far for Fulvio Barazzini, even though he is up positioned in that Triple M car. Seems to be that Koanda Simsport are just driving a wedge through drivers, but also Barazzini, a good run by him, having a look up and down the field as well. Matt Backham still battles it out with Mo Garfilo in the battle for P number 8 and 9. And get this one, already Hutu with a 1.1 second advantage over Mitchell de Jong.
I'd love to be happy about that, and I am, but I can't be pleased. Doesn't make any sense. But I want to see a battle here, and I think Mitchell really needs to push, because there's no way that he could have just gotten in front of Hutu on luck alone. He's had the pace, but he seems to be dropping off. I don't think it's the dirty air. I think Hutu, we know he gets better as the stint goes on. So essentially, something is going to have to happen from Coanda, some risk. They're going to have to take a risk, and we know it's come to the end of the season. If it costs Kroenke P2 and he ends up finishing P3, as long as they go for the win, that's what they need to do. They can't count on Hutu's bad luck for the rest of the season. They need to finish ahead of him on the racetrack. But, 36 laps remaining, and I think anything could still happen in this race, and I don't want to sound cliches, but we know there's been a lot of eventful events that's happened throughout 2015.
Oh, indeed, there has been, and there's so many factors got taken in a big racetrack like this as well. We're looking at Paul Ilbring versus Emil Henriksen, P number 2021. You've got Patrick Holtzman there in the mix, going side by side. Leading himself there, past the Virgil racing car of Emil Henriksen, down in towards Blanchimont. So that's another position gained by a Nirvana Thrustmaster X Team car, down in towards the bus stop chicane. They will come once again. Having a look, actually, we have started to get a bit more separation by these drivers. We've got Paul Ilbring though. He's of course moved himself through the field after a penalty at the start of this event, Johnny. He's shown us down as 9 positions overall. Realistically, he's gained 14 in this event.
Yeah, so that's good to see. And another driver who's had a poor start is Patrick Holtzman behind, but he's making his way through the field. Watch this, another pass on Yao Vaz. This is going to be inevitable. I think Vaz isn't even going to bother to defend, and you can see right there, Patrick up the inside, and he should grab P20. Maybe. It's going to be a braking battle. It's going to be side by side as well. And this is stuff you practice for 2 weeks and they get it right. And that's what I talk about, Will. You practice this for 2 weeks with your teammates. You make sure that you can go side by side through every corner battling just to make sure you're comfortable in the race. And for Patrick there, him and Paul can maybe work together in this first stint and make their way through the field.
Yep, you can see, having a look through your field, in fact, we'll just get on the left-hand side of your screen. They are your top 20. You can see your top 20 separated right now by 33 seconds on track. Working ourselves towards 1/4 distance in today's event. Now, if you're going to 3-stop strategy, you will come in the next 2 laps, Ronnie. On a 2-stop strategy, which we expect most people to be, you do lap 15, lap 30, and then that's it.
Yeah, we're expecting most drivers to really be on that 2-stop, so there's no question about it. We will definitely see a few drivers trying to make things a little more interesting, whether it's a 1 or 3-stop, but there's no one really in the field at the moment you can 100% tell what their strategy is, so it's just something we're going to have to watch and wait and see.
Yeah, where's Max Delorco? One we need him. Mitchell de Jong's falling now 2 seconds behind Gregor Hutu, but Martin Kroenke, his own teammate, is now gaining. The last time by, de Jong was 0.2 of a second faster, but it does look as though that Kroenke has hit that wall of dirty air, Johnny, that we see with these race cars. And it means that from here on in, it's going to hurt Kroenke's tyres, it's going to hurt his aerodynamics. Take us through how difficult it is to follow a driver at 3/4 of a second back.
Now, you tell me to take you through it. I think we should get through it with Martin right now, almost wiggling on the apex of the Buon, and he doesn't lose the car because that's skill right there. He's one of the world's best sim racers, so he's racing through, trying to battle through. But look at this, this is a very important corner here. Dirty air, trying not to get too wide onto the curb. The most important part, Will, though, is as soon as you get impeded by the dirty air, you straight away have to get into the slipstream of the driver in front. So right now, if I was Martin, I'd follow the gearbox of Mitchell wherever he drives his lines, aiming to gain those extra 10s, because if you can make a pass on him, it'll be much easier than just getting stuck behind him for the next few laps. So you're trying to do everything to get in front of the driver, but it's something to practice for, something where the front end just doesn't want to bite every corner. That's the worst part of being stuck in the dirty air, is the front end doesn't want to bite into corners, and it really, really hurts your tyres and lap time.
Last time by, Hutu 146.181, a 146.615 for Mitchell de Jong, a 146.688 for Martin Kroenke. Now, interesting enough, you have got both Pakala and Bootloop also catching these front two drivers. And that means one of a couple of things. Either Kroenke is being held up right now by Mitchell de Jong, or they're both going longer in their first stint, or Coanda had early stints pace and they don't have late stint pace.
Well, that could certainly be the case. That in terms of the stint space, something I don't know. If I was testing with Coanda, I would, but they haven't offered me a $200 million a year drive yet. We'll hopefully get that soon. But in terms of actual drivability with this car, I think Martin is definitely being impeded right now. You can see the car looks okay when he's sweeping into corners, but it was the same for Hutu, wasn't it, Will? Hutu was around the 7th to 8th, 10th range. And then when he got past Mitchell from that mistake, that's when he sort of caught up to him 10th by 10th. So I certainly think Martin is being affected. Not significantly, but at least a little bit.
As we have ourselves a look on board with Ilka Hapala in the number 8 Orion race team car, battling out with Miguel Martin and number 42 Radicals Online machine. The gap between Kroenke and de Jong remains at 8/10 of a second. It's 1.5 seconds between Kroenke and Oli Picada. A further 1.1 seconds back is Jeremy Bootloop. It's interesting to note, as strong as that Radicals Online team started this event, they have fallen back just a little bit, Johnny.
Yeah, not good. But stay motivated. I think you see a lot of drivers, I noticed, the drivers who need to finish at the top, you get really demotivated racing at the back. Sometimes drivers will just pull off, even when the car is okay, because they don't want to race for 30 laps, one lap behind. So for them, though, they're still in this. There's no reason to put your head down, never. You never know what can happen. It's definitely not going to be rain or anything, but there could be a big surprise in the next 32 laps.
Patrick Holtzman, by the way, has just got himself past Yao Vaz. Yep, so that's how you take that back. He's got himself past David Corpse, moving himself up into P number 20, the other Orion race team car. There you can see your ongoing battle for P number 2 and 3. Going to ride the middle part of this lap on board with de Jong. Talk us through this section of the racetrack on board with de Jong, Johnny.
Yeah, Puon. He's coming up to a complex here, which I want to mention is that people don't identify this area quite well for an overtaking spot. You can make overtakes around here. So fun around these couple of corners here at campus. Sweeping the car in, the front end bites incredibly well. This is a corner I hate. There's a small bump here on the apex. Do not hit it. Do not be unsettled by it. The car's set up so well with the Coanda Sim Sport car. Hardly feeling a bump right now. And Blanchimont, I don't know why Mitchell isn't maximizing his line. Certainly in these cars, doesn't make too much of a difference. In a slower car, a car that struggles to buy it in, it will cost you a 10th or 2 if you don't really widen your line through Blanchimont. And the bus stop I spoke about in qualifying, trying not to really lose the good lap that you've just achieved so far, just trying to finish it off strong. There's not too much time to be gained at bus stop, but there we go. La Source as well, smooth exit, trying to get that big sweep and run through Eau Rouge on towards the end of Kemmel Straight to Lecombe.
Yeah, there you can see the gap remains at 0.8 of a second. Well, 2 stoppers. We expect them in just a couple of moments' time, ladies and gentlemen. We have just had ourselves a brief... apologies for the brief intermissions we'll be having here today on RaceSpot TV, caused by some variable weather, shall we say, in Birmingham, United Kingdom. But we ride ourselves now on board with Backham, number 75 machine. Exit of Lecombe, down towards Rivage he comes. He's battling Hugo Louise into the battle for P number 7 and P number 8 right now. Miguel Martin also battling it out with Fulvio Barazzini. Barazzini's falling down this race like a log, and that's another driver looking to go past him. And that's going to spin the driver of Miguel Martin all the way around there, down at Lecombe. He's going to have to wait. This takes forever. Miguel Martin, number 42 machine. That's not going to be race ending, but that is a right pain in the backside, Johnny.
No, I think Barazzini needed to leave space. Yes, Martin was just speaking in, but Barazzini is lucky not to spin himself. So for Martin anyway, he's only dropped a few positions, lost some time. You're coming towards that first pit stop though, so in terms of, fuel and tyres and everything, it's better to spin at the end of the stint, we know, than the beginning. So for Martin now, probably the best type of spin you could have. Not really any damage and not really a detriment to your race.
Here you can see. In fact, we'll go back and have a look where Miguel Martin is. There he is in P number 20 right now. His last lap time before this one was a 147.145. So if we stay on board with him, we'll have an indication of just how slow this lap is going to be. But it's a shame that drops another Radicals car outside of your top 15, who started this race pretty well, have faded in some ways since then. But now Miguel Martin heading himself down in towards the Boston chicane. He will complete, actually no, he'll come in towards pit road. So that's exactly what you meant there, Johnny.
Yeah, just make the pit stop now. You know, he might have been pitting in a couple laps time, so just add that extra fuel in, make the second stint a little bit longer, and just get fresh tires and really re-motivate yourself. I know as a driver, once you spin, it's so difficult to just, you know, motivate yourself to keep lapping after a spin. So I think that just that atmosphere of having that refreshed stint really will help Miguel here as he pits and out and away very quickly for him.
Having a look with the driver of Martin Kroenke. In fact, no, we're not at the moment, but the gap between himself and the race lead, well, that one is currently scored at 6 seconds. It is. It's currently scored at 6 seconds, and actually, no, take that back, it's 4.5 seconds between Martin Kroenke and your race leader, Gregor Houtu. That has grown exponentially in the last 4 or 5 laps or so. So Kroenke needs to get a hurry on. He's 0.8 of a second, still behind his teammate. If Martin Kroenke, you just come on towards pit road maybe a lap earlier than Mitchell de Jong, because coming in at the same time, it's going to be a big waste of time, Johnny.
Yeah, but if Martin comes in early, he's not going to pass Mitchell for sure, obviously. So I think Mitchell's fueled a lot lighter right now than Martin Kroenke's teammate. I think we're going to see Mitchell maybe pit earlier, but Houtu is trying to make me stop talking and start to regain my breath, because a 45.8 was last lap. Now I don't care who you are, that's impressive right there from Gregor Houtu. He's completely blitzed the field by half a second to the next fastest driver last lap.
It's interesting because if you're on a one-stop strategy, you'll come in around lap number 22. If you're on a two-stop strategy, you should be on pit road right now, but we haven't seen any drivers on pit road, but we know that two-stopper is the fastest way to go. So we might get a situation where you get a standard size first stint, a standard size second stint, a very light second stint. I don't always understand why people do that one, but that might well be the case. Ilbring versus Happala, battle for P number 16 and 17. Battle between these two drivers is 0.6 of a second, Johnny, on the exit of Lecune.
Yeah, and for Ilbring, he's making so much progress through this race. Got Barazini in front, who might be unsettled by that little moment he had with Miguel Martin, but Ilbring now, he's caught up, visually he's caught up Happala in front, just through every corner. Watch through the exit of corner as well. He's just going to sweep the car in. That car is so well for this race. We should really have a Paul Ilbring cam to the bottom left or bottom right of the screen. This is dirty air there. I was talking about Will. The front end doesn't want to bite into corners, and once again through these through Stavolo, Paul Fred, you can see he's missing corners now. The closer you get to the car in front, the harder it is, but I think he could have a pass here, maybe even to Blanchimont.
Yep, you can see he's close to a tenth of a second. Is he going to look to the inside? No. Have a look maybe to the outside? No, he really does fall back into line. Gregor Houtu on pit road then. His first pit stop of the day. Gregor Houtu is the first of drivers off to bounce. He will come out, and he will come out just behind Marty Piatella by the looks of it. If you're Piatella, you've got to get ahead of Houtu. Perfect timing for Coanda. Worst timing ever for Gregor Houtu. Now he's got to charge up the hill. He's going to immediately look to the outside then on Marty Piatella. Down in towards Lecune they come. Gregor Houtu saves himself just a little bit there, but he had to run behind Coanda, and you see that Coanda car was looking back down to the inside in towards Lecune, but nothing that Piatella could do with Gregor Houtu.
Yeah, I was about to say it was actually worse off that Piatella got in front of Houtu, because he lost the slipstream all the way up to the exit of the Kemmel Straight, or to the end of the Kemmel Straight, But now, let's see if he actually catches and maybe passes Hutu here. We could see a little bit of a scrap. So hopefully Piatella runs this stint longer for the Coanda SimSport team, because if he gets into a little battle with Hutu, could lose him or cost him a little bit of time, and that could be the difference here, Will, between Mitchell de Jong and Martin Kroenke, maybe stealing and snatching away the lead from the Finn.
Yep, Mark Backham did himself an 8.6 second pit stop, so he also came in a little bit early into the stint. Mogar Philo 9.8 seconds, Alex Simpson 7.8. Looking to see where de Jong, where Kroenke is. They all stay out to do another lap. We've got more drivers on pit road though. We have a look and you can see there is the driver of Jeremy Boutaloop on pit road with Oli Picala. You've also got Jonas Nakurian, I believe, on pit road, as is Martin Piatella. Boutaloop brings his car into his pit box. And you got, yeah, indeed, Oli Picala on the pits as we speak as well, Johnny.
Yeah, Pakala pointing to the exit as well, and this is something drivers don't actually consider. You hit a wall here, and it's so easy to do. It will obviously damage your car and cost your race. Pakala doesn't do that. Quick pit stop for him, but most importantly, Hutu isn't battling with, what was it, Marty Piatella? Yeah, so Piatella into the pit, so Hutu's got a clean, basically a clean outlap.
And it's interesting to note as well that Pakala, just trying to figure out where he is in relation to Hutu. I make that, I'm doing mental math here, 6.5 seconds, Johnny, which is, I think, about bigger than when they came onto the pits in the first place.
Ooh. So maybe Pakala's had I think Pakala's had a longer pit stop as well. That definitely maybe came into the equation. So we don't know whether that's maybe just the randomness of the pit stop times, or fuel definitely is a factor there as well. This is a pretty interesting pit stop phase, Will. Now, I know you guys can't see me, but I might fall off my chair in a second. I'm pretty much got about a centimeter of my body. I'm on the edge of the seat right now, waiting for these Coanda drivers to pit.
Well, there's one in. Is there going to be two in? The answer is going to be yes, they are. They're going to come on towards pit road at the same time. Mitchell de Jong and Martin Kroenke on pit road at the same time. This is not what the driver of Kroenke would have wanted to have happen. I'll be intrigued to see will they split up the strategy here, though, Johnny.
Well, we're going to have to see that with the pit stop times. What makes it worse is that Kroenke's lost half a second. The visibility of seeing a pit box, Kroenke had to really hesitate dropping into his box. So watch this. You can see there, it doesn't look like much, but he's lost time to Mitchell de Jong. It actually makes a huge difference having a pit with your teammate. Hutu's obviously gotten in front. Alexei Usiakala is leading this race, has not made his pit stop, but very quick pit stops for the Coanda team, Will. Faster than the Team Redline drivers.
Yep, but it makes no difference because Hutu still leads this motor race. De Jong is still in second. 8.1 seconds stop for Hutu, 8.4 for de Jong, and then 7.9 from Martin Kroenke as they continue to scrap around this mountainous racetrack set in the Ardennes Mountains. There you can see some more pit stops taking place. That is Justin Lindsay out and away, 8.6 seconds. Emil Henriksen in exactly 10 seconds. As behind, you've got one or two other drivers coming onto or off of pit road. But once Alexei Usiakala pits, Hutu will retake over the race lead. Yakola hasn't pitted yet. Neither has Swisskops or Avery or Pakala or David de Corps, Rocket Baroni, Jorgen Montana, Yao Vaz, Dion Verges, or Lisa Marler. They still need to pit, Johnny.
Yeah, long stints, and just waiting for them to pit. 26 laps remaining in this event. But you know, the key is right now, if you're going long into the first stint, it is switching your driver focus. Now, I know I'm just making this easy said than done, but really switching your head into a mode where you've got a bigger car, you're more cautious in the first stint, but now as you start to go lighter and lighter as the race goes on, I think that's better, you know, for those drivers who really need to get into a rhythm. You know, guys like Hutu would really benefit from that, because he's a driver, we know the longer he drives for, he really gets faster and faster and more unstoppable. So that's something that drivers have to consider when you pit very late into your first stint. But you know what? Could be seeing some one-stops here, which will be very interesting as well. So let's see who really makes this race even more entertaining.
It will be, or whether they do that whole kind of quasi one stopper, then two into a two, then some very weird two very quick stints. I don't expect to see that here today from Alexei Usiakola. He does still lead the way though in that Team Redline car. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget that the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing.com, will return on September the 8th as they head to the Lady in Black. The track that is too tough to tame. It is Darlington Raceway, and that will be 183 laps here on PSR TV, MRN, the Motorsports Racing Network, on Fan Choice TV, and also on iRacing Live. After today's event, we've got 3 rounds of the championship remaining. We start at Suzuka before we go to the legendary Nürburgring, and finally, of course, Circuit of the Americas. Next time out, it will be the 12th of September at Suzuka, and that will be again at 1:30 p.m. GMT. The World Championship Series lives on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live. There's your top 8 then, bottom of your screen, Johnny, and it does seem to be that Yakola is thinking about doing that one-stop strategy.
Yeah, you could. You heard me moaning before and you went to the promo, so I'm still going to rant anyway. Is about
I heard your rant. I heard your rant and I accepted your rant.
Well, I'm going to rant even more now. And as I agree with you, Will, I don't get that long one stop and then having another pit, the 2-stop race where you have the 2 short stints at the end and the very long first stint. Now, there's obviously something that drivers or teams see in that strategy, but if somebody can prove to me where that's faster on paper or with some variable influences maybe that might affect that, but I just don't see a reason for that. And if Alexei Usiakola is smart here, he's going to one-stop. And if he one-stops, Will, this is quite deadly actually. I think his pace is incredible for a one-stop right now, but we're not going to see where he's going to end up, but it could he could really cash in by the end of this race. And I mean not just $100, $200, I mean billions and trillions of dollars. This could work out really well for Alexei Usiakola.
Do you remember the 2000 Belgian Grand Prix with Hackler and Schumacher?
Oh, who doesn't forget or who doesn't remember that pass? That was incredible.
Oh, yeah.
But yes,
that race in its entirety, that is one. And there we are, another lap going to be done there by Alexei Usiakola. Having a look at Robin Friscops, will he do another lap? We'll find out in a moment's time. We go on board with the iNext sim racing driver of Robin Friscops as he now works himself down towards the box stop chicane. Nice new livery on these iNext racing cars as well, and they will come down and they will do another lap as well. So a good 4 drivers inside of your top 10 will be staying on to do themselves a one-stop strategy, as we think. We will take you side by side just very quickly, and we will be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to RaceSpot TV. There we are. Yakola is on pit road as we speak. Alexei Usiakola on towards pit road, Johnny.
Yeah, he's Oh, just gets into his box. I was hoping he didn't miss it, but let's have a look at his time. This is going to make the difference here. Is he one-stopping? Is he two-stopping? And he is 100% one-stopping. Look how long he's stuck in his box for. So he is out and away, but to be honest, this could really work out well for him here. So let's see how many cars he won't get stuck behind too many drivers here. Mac Backham behind though. Oh, he might have crossed the pit exit line. That's going to be close as well. But Mac Backham will definitely get in front of the Team Red Line driver here. It's going to be very close into Rouge, side by side as well. Oh, wow. And they make it through. So with 22 laps remaining now, that was incredible. Alexei Usiakla head down and pedal away.
Can someone explain to me how that just happened?
I don't know. I think it was more Alexei Usiakla was playing the patient game. He knew that there was going to be an accident if he went through that corner side by side. So he knew Backham's faster than him. Different strategy. I think that's smart by Yakula to back off.
Yeah, there we are. Replay of that one coming up, and there you can see. Yep. Oh, that was all Yakola just getting out of the gas. Very, very well done there by the Finnish driver. But also, Robin Friskops, just to give you an update, he's not pitted yet, so he remained on the racetrack, Johnny.
Yeah, P4. Yeah, if you end the race here, he's got a nice, decent result, but the race has another 50% distance left, so that's what Robin Friskops has to do, and the key for Robin Friskops now is to make sure he doesn't make any mistakes. We're going to see him coming towards his pit box now. Let's just maybe and hopefully can continue his strategy and really finish this race on a high. So as Pakula behind, he's oh so close to Friskops though. I think for Pakula this could really impede him at the moment. He's got 5 seconds to make up if he gets past Friskops. Kroenke's 5 seconds in front. So Olli Pakula really has to make his way through Friskops quickly here. He's got more fuel on board. We're going to sweep through Rouge and Radion, and Pakula will make a move on Robin Friskops for P4 here, and it's good stuff. I think Olli Pakula might really be on a charge towards those two Coanda SimSport drivers in P2 and P3. So we see Friskops dropping off the pace quite rapidly as well. So Friskops as well, still waiting for him to make his pit stops. Down the order, Ilkka Hapala as well in P8, still hasn't made his pit stop. For Alexei Usiakla, he has clean air, his 11.3 second pit stop time, so that's definitely confirming he's on a one stop. I think the same, Richard Avery's had a long pit stop, but he's had 2 trips through the pit lane, David Corpse as well. So I think for Alexei Usiakla, really one of the top guys there, along with Robin Friskops and obviously Ilkka Hapala, as we mentioned, on that one stop. So for Hutu though, he's slowly breaking away from the two Coanda drivers of De Jong and Kroenke. They're going to have to step up the gas. It's going to be important for those two to complete this on a high, and Kroenke still 8 tenths behind though. He's been stuck behind his teammate all race. It might be time for De Jong to let him through and see how fast Kroenke can maybe catch up, or see how fast Kroenke can drive and pedal away and maybe make up those few tenths to Gregor Hutu in front.
Yeah, and there we are. We're running on board then for this lap with Martin Kroenke down towards the Rouge Radio complex, and we see 285-ish kilometers an hour as they work themselves up the hill through Radio. Not out of the noisy pedal at all. Robin Friskops is on pit road this time by. So to give you an update on his pit stop time, it's a long one for him. He will be out and away in 10.3 seconds. Ilkka Hapala also on towards pit road. Longest stop for him, 11.8 seconds. Both now back out onto the racetrack. That means the only driver yet to have pitted was Dion Vergers. He is now in the pits as we speak, and he is going to do himself roughly around a 10-second stop. Jordi Tamala hasn't actually pitted yet, so we do apologise to Jordi Tamala for ignoring him there, but he hasn't yet pitted in today's event. So Tamala, though we can see him in that Inex racing car, is going against the grain here today, Johnny.
Yeah, it's good to see somebody doing something different, really springing up a surprise for us. And that's what we want to see. We want to see drivers really, if you can't win, I think you really have to search for things to make yourself, to make yourself unique and separate yourself from the rest of the field. So Tamala, opposite strategy. You know, we saw it with, for example, Kobayashi in 2010, that corner at Suzuka where he just threw it up the inside. Just make a name for yourself as a driver. Tamala, though, he really wants to play with fire, almost losing the car from the exit or midway through pool 1. Keeps it together, should be in for his one and only pit stop sometime in this race. He's gone way too heavy in this first stint, in my opinion.
Yeah, halfway is lap number 22. This is now lap number 26 of 44 here in round number 13 of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. And it's interesting to note as well, you know, you talk about the alternate strategies. I made the joke about Max Delorco previously, but many people remember Max Delorco because of the fact he was always different. He would always go off sequence to try and get himself. And there's another lap that Tamala is going to do. That's absolutely insane, as Kroenke still stuck 1 second back from his teammate Mitchell de Jong, back for P2, P3. Now, I think there might be an interesting conversation after this race, not because of the blocking, but because of the fact that they haven't communicated their strategies to each other.
Well, that's wrong. They should be on some sort of communication right now, whether it's, you know, TeamSpeak, whatever they use to communicate. If it's by Morse code, fax, they need to tell each other. For Martin, they need Martin to go through. They need to try something new, and so be it. Martin finishes in second and de Jong in P3. They can just swap positions at the end of the race if they want. They're not going to do that though, because Kroenke needs the points for the championship. But they really need to do that sometime now. You can just see, the only reason I can see it's not happening is because they probably believe that de Jong is too far in front. But 8/10 makes a difference. I think you just have to give it a shot. Cost yourself that extra 1 second to let Kroenke in front, and if it doesn't work out, there's not going to lose anything. Kroenke is going to finish this race ahead of Mitchell de Jong.
Now, there's no advantage getting within 1 second in this current Grand Prix car, the Williams FW31. There will be in the upcoming Grand Prix car, the McLaren, coming soon to iRacing with the likes of the digital reduction system, which it was, you know, tested out in this car, but was never actually used in this car. And that's the reason why, you know, you get into that 1 second buffer and the car just stalls with all that dirty air, Johnny.
Yeah, there's not much to be gained. I haven't driven this car in over 6 months, but I do remember that, yeah, it's not going to gain you that much time. I think initially coming onto the straight it will, so that's where I can see it helping with passing maneuvers, but by the end of the straight you're essentially all the same top speed, maybe 1 or 2 kilometers an hour difference. Only the high downforce package really works in this car around most tracks. That's something I learned, and that's something I'm going to mention, Will, is that with that new car next year, we're going to see drivers maybe who struggle with setting this car up. Everyone's going to be on an equal playing field next year, and it doesn't matter what league you're in the iRacing WCS or in any other league. When you switch sims or you switch cars, you essentially bring yourself into this equal playing field. And I've seen drivers that have struggled to get into points in some series next season start to win races just simply because they've always had the talent, they just haven't had the knowledge and experience in a certain vehicle. So I think next year we're definitely going to see maybe even some drivers who might be coming up into the World Championship by the end of this year.
Oh yeah, of course.
Really give us a surprise by 2016.
Don't forget though as well, next year we have ourselves 3 World Championship Series with the launch of the GT1 World Championship as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I do apologise for the slight issue we had there, but don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, next year we have ourselves 3 World Championship Series as well. Not only the NASCAR Peak Anti-Free Series and the World Championship Grand Prix Series, but also we will have ourselves the GT1 World Championship. Just getting ourselves a couple of replays. This was Paul Ilbrink and why he is out of the race in that Radicals Online car. What we like to call a little bit of aero loose with the Orion Race team driver of Ilka Pardis is down in towards the Fung chicane. And well, Paul Ilbrink started at the rear of this field, worked himself up and then got upside down around out of the race. It was all game over for the driver then of Ilka, it's not of Ilka Parla, even of Paul Ilbrink. But we ride on board with Mitchell de Jong, and Kroenke, away from our screen just 1 moment ago, has gotten past.
Yeah, and it seemed legit though. It didn't really seem like team orders. I think de Jong might have been affected by a lap car with some dirty air. It cost him a couple of tenths, and those vital tenths were of vital importance to Martin Kroenke. He maximized his chance. Now here's the turning point of the race. Can Kroenke catch Gregor Hutu? 17 laps remaining in this event, and anything can happen between those two. So let's see how much time Kroenke can gain. And don't forget, this is the first time a race has been out of dirty air, really. So Kroenke is going to have some fun, a few laps up towards his second pit stop.
Well, there we can see a look. De Jong losing that second place to Martin Kroenke. We are currently working ourselves, ladies and gentlemen, onto the conclusion of lap number 28 of 44 here at majestic Circuit Spa-Francorchamps. The gap between Martin Kroenke and Gregor Hutu, well, 4.1 seconds. Although last time by, look at that, Johnny. 0.3 of a second advantage. Kroenke faster than Hutu.
Yeah, you know, in a utopian universe, we'd like to say that that was Kroenke really being faster than Hutu, but I think that's mostly to do with the slipstream. You gain so much time in this car. You can see on your delta as well. Kroenke would have seen it racing up if he does have his delta appearing on his screen. So that's certainly probably in the first sector. This is the rear lap now. You know, none of them really have a slipstream or advantage to gain. No real lap cars. Actually, while I say that, no, Hutu's got no one really in front of him. So this is the big lap. This is where we're going to see the difference between Hutu and Kroenke. If Kroenke can at least gain 0.2 a lap from now, it will make a difference. You know, if he can gain maybe another second during the pit stop phase, we could see a big race in our hands for the win.
Yeah, don't forget that it was the first round of the 2014 iWCGPS World Championship Grand Prix Series that saw Hugo Louise and Gregor Hutu go toe-to-toe out of that final pit stop. Now, Kroenke is a bit further back than what we'd expect earlier on. Just going to turn our attention, actually, to Jonas Nakurian, who is right behind Alexei Yakola. Now, Yakola, we know, is on that long one-stop strategy. Nakurian on the two-stopper. Nakurian is stalking Alexei Yakola right now. This is making for some great racing for P9 and P10, Johnny.
Yeah, Nakurian is fast. People forget that he's fast. He's incredibly quick. He's entertaining as well. And we've seen him set fastest laps. He just appears on the timing sheets. And here we go up towards Blanchimont. And Alexei Yakola, we know when that one stop's going to let him through. Straightforward maneuver. So Jonas Nakurian up into P9. Now on towards the final chicane, almost dabbing a wheel onto the grass. So let's see Nakurian for the rest of this race. Can he get a top 10 finish? That's going to be the big question for this guy.
Up P6 places so far, 7 places now in today's event, running himself in the 9th position. Jonas Nakurian, the last lap time, 1:46.903, half a second slower than his fastest lap of the race so far. Let's go back then and have a look at your lap times. Gregor Hutu responded 1:45.660 last time by, so 1:45.798 for Kroenke, a 1:46.2 for Mitchell de Jong. And that shows you really, Johnny, that Kroenke had been sat in absolutely nowhere for a good 25 laps of today's event.
Yeah, I think as well. I think for Mitchell it's a bit of demotivation. He's certainly not half a second a lap slower, because he wouldn't be within 6 seconds of Gregor Hutu. He's either made a mistake or of some sort, but you do get demotivated. I've been in a situation, I've been in both ends. I've had teammates and people are wondering, you know, have people let me through before? Well, yeah, it's in amateur leagues, you know, so that's different, not in the World Championship, but yeah, you do get demotivated, but when you're on Kroenke's end, you essentially charge through. It doesn't really affect your mentality. You're 100% onto the throttle, onto the brake, just pushing to the limit. I think now de Jong is going to slowly respond, slowly pick up his rhythm again, and it does hamper your performance slightly.
Oh,
Still
Hutu's
15 laps remaining, and Hutu's in, yeah, so early pit stop for him.
Yep, so here we can see there Gregor Hutu in the number 1 Team Redline car, coming on towards pit road already. A couple of drivers on pit road trying to get some repairs to their cars when they come back out. One of those, I believe, is the driver of Alexei Yakola, who's had himself some incidents.
Yeah.
We'll figure out what's happened to him in one moment's time. Pit stop time, though, for Gregor Hutu. 7.3 seconds. He is out and away. Good to go to the end of this motor race, Johnny.
Yeah, so Hutu out in the way, but I'm just watching Yakola. He's made a mistake at that no-name corner, I think turn 11. So on the run down to Pouan on the exit, rear end slid away from him and he's out of this race. Car's way too damaged, and another race gone from Alexei Usiakula. We talked about it being a promising finish, not anymore.
Yeah, just trying to get ourselves a look then, if we can, at this one for Alexei Usiakula. Here we should see it right about here. And it's a slow, it's one of those miserable spins. We see it so often in the World Championship Series, but for Alexei Usiakula, his day is done. We're going to get ourselves another look then. And this is a nice little shot we're going to get from our aerial coverage as he works himself down into no-name corner. Just change that camera angle around and you'll see that he just touched himself onto that white line. That's the issue, and the touch of the AstroTurb as well. And that is when the back end of that car, it just slides out on him. Alexei Usiakula is out of this event, Johnny. And that's one driver who we didn't expect to be out, the winner of this year's spring race.
Yeah, but he needs to work on that in the off-season. And a lot of drivers do have fun racing different cars and whatnot, but he has to work on his consistency. And, you know, I've been in the situation before as well. Another situation I've been in is to work on your consistency. You're really just lapping around, trying to keep yourself entertained. I know some drivers do get bored, as I think in front of Hutu, that's Nukarainen pitting, so 13 laps remaining for him. A few other Coanda drivers in as well. Pakala in, so we'll speak about that later. A huge pit stop reconnaissance here.
Yeah, there you can see Kroenke with the first one out and away. Pit stop time for him, 8.3 seconds. Mitchell de Jong, 8.7 seconds. Hugo Louise on pit road, 7 seconds. He is out and away. But the important factor is that there is Martin Kroenke. Up the road is Gregor Hutu. I'm just trying to figure out what the gap is. I make it exactly 3 seconds on the racetrack. We won't get official confirmation until the end of the lap, but I make it exactly 3 seconds right now as we get ourselves a look there between Gregor Hutu and Martin Kroenke. There is Hutu, there is Kroenke. That is about 3 seconds, and it looks as though that Kroenke is now going to have to push like there is no tomorrow, Johnny, just to even get within a second.
Yeah, he has to push here as well. Apologies before, I should have said rendezvous, not reconnaissance, but nevertheless, Martin Kroenke now, he's gained a lot of time on Gregor Hutu in front, and he's got a 1 lap. His tyres are fresher by a single lap, so I think this could work out well for Martin Kroenke come the end of the race. We saw this at Okayama. Kroenke was the guy leading there, but if you're going to try to break down the mentally strong Gregor Hutu, you're going to need to do something else. You can't just catch up to him and slowly just put pressure on him. I don't know what he can do, but he's going to have to do something. It's going to be one tough asking from Martin Kroenke.
Oli Picardo on towards pit road. He's going to be joined on pit road by Jeremy Bouteloup in the number 24 machine. So Pakala onto pit road, Bouteloup on towards pit road. Philo is also on towards pit road. That means the leader of this motor race will once again go to Gregor Hutu. Here comes then the Team Redline number 3 car of Oli Pakala into his pit box, angling it nicely as we've got ourselves just 11 laps of this motor race to go this time by. As we'll see, there we are, 8.3 seconds out and away. Will go Oli Pakala in that number 3 Team Redline car. Now waiting for Mogar Philo in the Radicals Online machine, where there he is. He's out and away in 8.4 seconds. Jeremy Bouteloup has already made his pit stop, 7.2 seconds as he works himself up the hill. Jeremy Bouteloup then, the good pit stop actually puts him back ahead of Hugo Louis, Johnny.
Oh, good stuff. You know, Jeremy Bouteloup's that guy that he hangs around there. He's always had the pace, but what can he do next year to just give him that extra tenth that he needs to really battle for wins? I think well, it's not just 1/10, but the extra time he needs. So something for Bouteloup to consider. Maybe working with a few people in the off season to find that lost pace. We know new car as well. Maybe he could be that driver that will spring a surprise and start winning many races next year. But if anybody's going to do well in any car, that's Gregor Hutu. Now that leads 3.5 seconds to Martin Kroenke.
Will that new car have a new car smell?
It depends on where you buy the car from, Will. It is a digitally made car, but if it's made in a certain country, it could have certain smells.
Yeah, indeed so, ladies and gentlemen. If you're new to the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series, this might be your first race. You may be after many things. You can get yourselves a number of special discounts. We'll post it after this race on our Facebook page. You get yourselves a 4GT and 3 months worth of subscriptions to iRacing for just $12. That's awesome. And you can start your journey. Who knows, maybe one day you may well be racing in the World Championship Grand Prix Series along with the 2011 Series champion Hugo Luis of Coanda Sim Sports, or for the 2010, 12, 13, 14 World Champion, possibly even almost a 2015 champion Gregor Hutu in that number 1 Team Redline car. There is your gap, 3.2 seconds. Last time by, Kroenke was faster, but not by anywhere near close enough, Johnny.
Yeah, and you know, the amount of practice these drivers put in, we're not going to see at this rate. We know the amount of pit stops that they made and how close they are as well. So we're going to see maybe a driver be 1, 2, 3 tenths faster. We're not going to see half a second gaps between these two. When muscle memory kicks in, and when you've been testing for 2 weeks or a robot, you're as close to a robot as possible. Your pedal movements, everything is the same. I think this race is going to play out. That's my politically incorrect answer, Will. My politically correct answer is I think this could be a really good finish to this race, and we may even see Kroenke catch up to Gregor Hutu.
Yeah, we just saw there Jonas Zakurian getting himself past Robin Friscop to battle for P number 9 and 10 on track. We'll go back on board there with Friscop. So you can see immediately that gap. That is the definition of what dirty air is, Johnny. 1 second in the space of 40 seconds of racing, because of you sometimes aerodynamically just cannot keep up at all. I do have to say that I think it's almost over now. Hutu, if you can't beat him the first 2 laps, Hutu just gets himself into that rhythm. Now, I'm interested in this battle between Jeremy Bootsloop, the 2011 Series champion, which is Hugo Luis.
Oh, he's pushed way too hard into the final chicane though, so Hugo's lost a couple of tenths there, maybe 1 or maybe even 1 actually. He's recovered well. This is important when I speak about here, La Source. God, I hate this corner when you get it wrong, but when you get it right, it is beautiful. The exit's in on you quite early, as close to the wall as possible. You want to minimize the track distance and then straight lining Eau Rouge, but not too much. You want to hit that curve at the top of, here we go, there's Hugo, just crosses it, as we saw Dion earlier when he was passed by Gregor Hutu for the lead. So important not to bounce and damage your car too much. Luis though has lost a 10th since La Source, so Bootloop so far and is set up well, and he's got some great clean racing car.
Down in your pack, here's a look at Yorni Tamara battling out with Patrick Holtzman for P number 17, P number 18 on track. We do apologise, ladies and gentlemen, for some of the issues that we've been having with our coverage here today. As on the exit there we can see of La Source down in towards Eau Rouge. This is a look at Patrick Holtzman battling out with Yorni Tamara as they work themselves up the hill, Johnny. And well, for Holtzman, what a way to get that pass set up, be aggressive on the exit of Radion. Easily done there from Ivano Frostmaster X-Team car.
No, he's so confident. He wasn't even straight lining Eau Rouge. You can tell when a driver is messing up the corner and still gets a great run, you can tell he's deliberately doing that just to size up the driver in front, trying to get out of the dirty air of the corner. And Holtzman now, it's the same situation. Him and Alexei Usiakala just really need to work on their consistency. I think that's the only thing. And they've certainly improved, gone a long way over the past few months, but it hasn't been perfect. And in this series, with these drivers, that has to be perfect. I mean, we speak about drivers who finish in last in this race, go into any amateur league and will essentially win every single race there. So there's a heap load of talent, but to verse each other at this level, it's where you need that extra spring, and that's their extra spring for 2016, is to really work on being fast over a complete race distance.
But some of these drivers, people like Jeremy Bootsloop, for example, to be able to stay ahead of Hugo Luis, the 2011 Series champion, by a second, non-stop, withstanding the pressure. This shows, I mean, radicals are always strong at this racetrack. I don't quite know why, but there's always certain tracks that certain drivers and certain teams are just a little bit better at. Always seems to be that Inex a better place like Okayama and Motegi. Radicals are always good here at Spa, and Bootsloop is doing, in my opinion, is driving the race here today.
Yeah, he's a remarkable job. I think the only reason why a team would be specialized or can specialize on a track, maybe they just race a lot at that track in the preseason, off-season. It's just maybe it's just luck. All the drivers in that team are just really good at one racetrack, or the setup approach they use all season works well at Spa. But I mean, there's so many factors you can consider. It's something, you know, if you want to investigate, you will, as Luis gets all 4 tires off the racetrack onto the AstroTurf there at Stavolo. So he's only 6/10 now, or 6/10 down behind Jeremy. I think a top 5 finish here, you know, I don't think Jeremy Bootloop's elusive. I think Hugo Luis can certainly pass him in the remaining 8 laps here. Look at this, breaking through the bus stop chicane. Nice and clean as well. Hugo is he's on a mission, a man on a mission here, certainly for a top 5 finish.
As we're having a look on board of Ilka Hapada versus Alex Simpson, Richard Avery just ahead of him on tracks. We get a look then from the rear of Ilka Hapada to Alex Simpson, and there is a wonderful look at our aerial coverage as they come down in towards the bus stop chicane once again. There's Richard Avery, front end of your screen, and the number 44 Friction Racing Machine. He so far today, well, he's had 7 places gained. So Richard Avery not doing a bad job at all. Now heads himself down towards Air Rouge once again, and Avery in P number 12, as I can confirm that the gap between Gregor Hooter and Martin Klonke that last time by extended by 4/10 of a second, Johnny.
Yeah, it did indeed. And what happened to Alex Simpson? I mean, he had such a promising start to the race, and now he's dropped down to 14th. Now, he's always finished around that area, but I was hoping this race he'd have something extra to show for his excellent qualifying performance. So, have a look at his stint times as well. Nothing really that's shown that's been out of the normal, no outliers in lap times, so he's going to have to look at that as well. Certainly could have been strategy though, Will, with Alex, because to drop that many places over the course of a race is certainly not something you want to do as a team or driver.
No, it's not, and I think that part of that would come down to strategy, in my opinion. When you pitted and how your pit stop was, and you can so easily lose a second and a half on pit road, and if you do that, it might just feel like a second and a half to the viewers, but the cumulative impact of that, coming out into traffic, coming out into a situation where you are going to have to struggle and lose even more time, that is where things become far more difficult. And that is why these drivers race at the very top of their game, because one little mistake can be the difference between a top 10 finish and basically finishing on P14 like Alex Simpson here today. Having a look up through your field just very quickly, ladies and gentlemen. Here's a look on board with Hugo Luis as he battles it out still with Jeremy Bootloop. Your top 8 are on the bottom half of your screen, still separated by less than 30 seconds, but well, Hutu is dominating once again. Interesting to note, the Bootloop Luis battle is the closest battle we have inside of our top 14 drivers right now, Johnny.
Yeah, good to see. 40 seconds between those top 14, and closest battle is, of course, Hugo Luis. Actually, no, Alex Simpson's only a 10th behind Ilka Hapada, and I think Alex Simpson side by side here through Les Combes, and now there's ever so slightly going to touch. They don't though, and Alex Simpson up into P13, so he's listened to me. He's kicked it up a notch, and he's on his way to maybe even getting past Richard Avery in front. But that will be a hard task for Alex.
Yeah, there we are. Replay of this one coming up. You can see Alex Simpson right hand side of your screen. Ilka Hapada. They didn't quite touch, but I tell you one thing: the Gibbons.FI car there of Ilka Hapada, the number 8 Orion Race Team car, that was mighty close. And well, they do stay inside the top 15. Hapada is one of those drivers that we don't often talk about, Johnny, because they finish races, they get the job done, they don't often mess up too badly, but you know, they're not setting the world alight.
Well, if you want to learn about a driver, let's have a listen to Apollo at the bus stop chicane. Let's have a look at how he downshifts through corners. So, I mean, if we take a listen, slowly just getting through the gears, and I know that might have been a little bit pointless after I just mentioned it, but some drivers, you can learn how aggressive they are braking and sweeping into corners. You can learn as much from somebody just studying them on their own, studying them how they react to traffic and side-by-side battles. I mean, I know as a driver, when I'm racing with 20 guys around me, I want to know every single detail about that driver. Now, obviously, I don't care about what they ate for breakfast or what they're going to eat for dinner, but I care about tendencies, what they tend to do when you're in a side-by-side battle. You know, some drivers I notice tend to back off more than others when they come to side-by-side battles. They're not confident, whereas others will take you and go side-by-side. So if you're a driver who needs to avoid risks, and I spoke about that when Alexei Siakala let Mackham through at Eau Rouge, that's what you have to learn. Is Mackham going to send his car up through Eau Rouge? And if Alexei Siakala was aware of that, and I'm sure he was, he backed off the pace, let Mackham through, and his race carried on. Unfortunately, he did spin later, and understanding driver to be successful.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we do apologise for some of the technical issues we've been having over the course of today's broadcast. One more time, you are watching the iWCGPS World Championship Grand Prix Series here from Circuit Spa-Francorchamps. And of course, the next big event that we have got coming up will be the iRacing.com Petit Le Mans. It is coming your way this coming October. It'll be right here on iRacing Live and on RaceSpot TV as we do another round of the iRacing.com Road Warrior Endurance Championship. October 10th, right here on RaceSpot TV. The week after that, Johnny, we go even crazier. We head ourselves up towards the mountain. We go to Mount Panorama for the iRacing.com Bathurst 1000.
I know. Yeah, yeah, you said it. Easy. It's a wicked track. I was crazy enough to race the IndyCar there last year against a guy named Eunice Nakala. I have no idea where that guy is, but he is a fast driver. So car around that mountain, you're going to get incredible racing, and we're going to get that soon here at iRacing at RaceSpot TV.
So 2 rounds then remaining of the iRacing.com Endurance Championship will come your way on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live, as well as the remainder of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series and the iRacing.com Pro Series of Road Racing. And also, following our coverage in 2 weeks' time, we will have a special event to honour the memory and the legacy of Justin Wilson, of course, the driver who died following a horrific accident at Pocono Raceway just a week ago. More details of that one are to come soon. Your top 10, ladies and gentlemen. Gregor Houtu leads by 3.3 seconds over Martin Conquet. Then you got yourself Mitchell de Jong, a further 1.2 seconds back. Then Oli Picard is 10 seconds behind your race leader. Jeremy Boothleap 5 seconds to the rears. Hugo Luis has faded. He's now 1.1 seconds behind Boothleap. Backham is in 7th. Philo in 8th. Nakurian in 9th. Friscott's in 10th. As we have got ourselves 26 drivers still classified on the lead lap. 2 drivers 1 lap down. They Dimitri Yanis and Rico Alatalo. Alatalo has been scored as 1 lap down since pretty much the start of this motor race. Alexei Siakala spun in no-name corner. Yao Vaz out of the race after an incident. Paul Ulbrich is out, as is Tomo Meglek, Andre Borja, Kazuki Omijima and Antoine Heglin. That means our attrition today, Johnny, we have had 6 drivers classified as out of the 35 who have started. And, well, I'm going to do the attrition rating on the fly. That means we've had an attrition rating of 17.1%.
Yeah, that's not bad. We should maybe get some advanced sabermetrics and stuff like that into the iRacing WCS. That'd be interesting, and see how fast someone downshifts between 6th and 7th gear, or sorry, between 7th and 6th. That could be an interesting stat. And talking about that, when you listen to Hugo, and he's coming through Blanchimont now, at the bus stop chicane, he is aggressively downshifting. You listen to him in that car. I mean, he really is trying to push the limit, trying to engine brake that Coanda SimSport car to gain time.
That's exactly what Johnny meant. And talk us through what he's actually doing there, Johnny. Because you talk about the engine braking. People think, oh, the way you brake your cars with that left-hand brake pedal. It's a little bit more difficult than that.
Yeah, I mean, I know at Monza, for example, the faster you downshift into turn 1, you can gain a 10th by just really being aggressive and killing the engine, because you're aggressively downshifting and you're slowing the car down by using the gears and using the engine. So I mean, that's essentially how it works. It does unsettle the rear end, and you have to make sure that your engine brake setting is set to something that does suit your style. That time around though, when we listened to Hugo, a bit more lenient. I think maybe the last lap he might have just made a mistake, and as to why he was even more aggressive than he was then. But certainly it's somewhere where a lot of drivers, the first thing that amateur drivers notice of the fast aliens is they always notice they lose time under braking. And I think techniques like that, such as Hugo is using, is something that really does help when you come to this level of driving, is to aggressively downshift. And it works at tracks such as Spa, such as Monza, those tracks where you have to go from 320 all the way down to 60.
As we can see, one of your drivers has been pretty much everywhere in today's event. He's Jake Sturgis. He, of course, had himself an incident at the start of today's event, but all the way back to P number 31, moved himself back up into the top 20, battling with Jorge Montanes in a battle for P number 19, Johnny.
Yeah, he is. Is that... Well, Montanes is behind, yeah. So Dean Vergis actually in front of Jake Sturgis at the moment, and they're really, for Jake as well, going to get a few points from this race. That's good for him, bouncing back from that early moment. So another driver down the field, Barazzini's really dropped down the order. Marin Kolak, another Pro Series driver, so he's had a promising race in P24. And where's Riku? He's the big question of the day. P28. Yeah, he's definitely not practiced well. P28 is not where Riku Alatalo is. So
well, he was
it's good
one
to
lap
see.
down very early on, to be fair. So he obviously had some issues with that Glacier Racing car right at the very start of this race, and I think that's impacted his suspension, his steering since then. So Alatalo, and that's the issue though. If you qualify down at the rear of the field, you are going to be more likely to get yourself into an incident.
No, and it is the worst feeling. You practice for... There was an event once I practiced for, I think it was 2 to 3 weeks. You know, every day at this level, you really have to put in your 2 hours a day almost. As soon as you get more experience, you know, you start to practice less just because you can. But if you're a rookie, you're coming up the order, you need to put in practice. And if your race ends on lap 1, it is one of the worst feelings. I think just... it really builds your motivation for the next round. You want to go out there and you want to race again, just simply because your race and your event was ended so early and so abruptly the first time around.
And you want to know, even the biggest races, the biggest drivers, they still practice. And I tell you one thing, I've heard of 20,000 laps around Indy to prepare for the iWCGPS Indianapolis 500. White flag is out, one more lap to go. Hutu, 3.2 second advantage over Martin Cronke. Down they come into Air Rouge Rallion for the final time. And well, Hutu, sublime once again, Johnny.
Yeah, there's no reason to say that Cronke is going to catch him, as we said before. I mean, a lot of people want that for entertainment, but it's not going to happen. I think Hutu right now, and you know, if Rachel was here, she'd say the same thing. He is on another level from the rest of these guys. 3 seconds is a huge... And I think qualifying helped that. And I spoke about it before, Will, is that as soon as Hutu started nailing qualifying here around round 4, round 5 of the season, that's when he started dominating, and that's when he started getting back to his winning ways. And this will be win number 52 on his career list. It will be win number 8 for 2015. The record in a season set by Hutu was 9 in 2013. I really think he could beat that this time out.
Yeah, of course. We use slightly different records for this and when it used to be called the iWCGPS World Championship of Road Racing. We had one series in an IndyCar where basically Hutu won everything. Pretty much everything. But in this current iteration, Hutu has never looked as dominant as he is looking here today. After he works himself through these final couple of corners, the gap in the championship will be 72 points, 150 left to play, and drop weeks to go as well. Hutu is inching closer rapidly to his 5th, and yes, I say that correctly, his 5th World Championship. Out of the bus stop chicane comes the number 1 Team Redline driver, Gregor Hutu, will win here at Circuit Spa-Francorchamps. Hutu dominant once again. Cronke will come home in 2nd for Coanda, with Mitchell de Jong running at your podium, but today is all about. Team Redline, Gregor Hutu once again. Picala, after starting P2, will come home in P number 4 overall. Jeremy Bootsleep for Radicals Online can hold off Hugo Louise. Louise can only claim P number 6. It'll be P number 5, rounding out your top 5 for Jeremy Bootsleep. Backham, again, P7 from nowhere. Philo in 8th. What a day for Radicals Online. Once again here, because they've got themselves 1, 2, 3 drivers in the top 10. McCruin in 11th. 9th place will go to Robin Friscops. There we can just see him coming past the exit of La Source. And then Eunice McCruin, in fact, according to my timing and scoring, might well actually get P10. We'll confirm that in just one moment's time. But Gregor Hutu, well, statistics, they tell a big story there, Johnny, and the statistics don't lie. 72 points with 150 left on offer. That is the advantage to Gregor Hutu.
Hey, it's going to be one tough asking for Martin Kroenke, and it's a little too late if he does it from here on in the remaining rounds of the season at Suzuka, Zandvoort, Circuit of the Americas. So for Kroenke, it's going to be one big push next race. He can't count on any bad luck from Gregor Hutu. He's going to have to study and really do his homework to finish this season off strong. Another big battle, interesting to note. Nukarainen, Piatella and Friscops there in the last lap, pretty much boxing each other in on towards Les Combes, and then Piatella last lap or last lunge on Friscops into the bus stop chicane, couldn't get him. They finished 9th, 10th and 11th.
Yeah, we're going to get ourselves a replay of that one for you with these drivers, because it did look as though we did miss something just a little bit interesting. So these drivers, here we are then. 3 drivers separated by 1 second. We're going to ride ourselves along board with Nukurainen down in towards Air Rouge, now in towards Radion, and this is where things get really fun. Last lap of the race, 1 wide, 2 wide. Nukurainen almost making contact with Piatella. Friscops just ahead of him, down in towards Lecombe. Nukurainen not able to do anything there at all, but we're going to stay along board with him and we'll just show you the rest of the lap from his perspective, because this, Johnny, was one very entertaining battle to the flag.
Yeah, and he's it started off at the start finish straight. He lost a couple of positions. He could have had a top 10 finish to this race, and you just see ending the lap there, there's nothing he can do. I think he's been a little bit demotivated. I was about to use another word, but he's certainly put his head down after that one, and he just finished the race off cleanly. Not happy with that finish for Eunice, you can tell. He deserved a top 10 finish, did not get it. But in the end, that's racing, and Friscops and Piatella did deserve it. They worked just that little bit extra harder and got their little bit of extra luck.
Yep. There you can see the incident that Johnny was just talking about for Jonas Nukurainen. This is down on the second to last lap run on the exit then of Stavolo, down in towards the bus stop chicane for Jonas Nukurainen. We're going to get some driver interviews in just a couple of moments' time. We're just going to give ourselves a couple of moments to regroup, take a breath, to think about and just reflect on some of the incidents here today. And there you can see Nukurainen, this is a run down in towards the bus stop chicane. Our camera angle is always shaky down here, but there you can see down, and that's where the first incident was, because the INX Racing driver there of Friscops just forced his way through into the final corner. That unsettled Jonas, and then Marty Piatella, well, he just had himself momentum down in towards La Source, slotted it down the inside. Jonas on the outside, nothing he could do. Got boxed in there by Robin Friscops. Jonas did lose out there, I would say, all said and done. But the thing is, a big part of racing, we always say, Johnny, is car placement.
Yeah, certainly is. And people will complain, oh, you know, Friscops did dive bomb, but I mean, he made the pass, didn't he? And Eunice was smart enough not to turn in and cause an accident. It's racing, you know, you get past the driver in front, no matter how, you're in past him, you know, multi-21, whatever you want to do, if you're ahead of the driver in front, that's it, that's all you need to do. So I think Friscops there, fair played, and I can see why, and I can definitely tell just the way that Eunice finished that race off, he'd certainly be annoyed with that. I mean, not what Friscops did, but by the fact, I think Eunice would be more annoyed by the fact that he himself let go of a P9 finish, and I mean, that's just from my driver's perspective. I'm sure that's what Eunice is more annoyed about.
There we are. Gregor Hutu 3 seconds ahead of Martin Kroenke in the battle for the race win. Kroenke 2 seconds ahead of Mitchell de Jong to round out your podium. Red line for Coanda from Coanda. The gap now is 72 points in the battle for the championship. Oli Picard in 4th, then Jeremy Bootsloop, Hugo Louise, Matt Backham, Mo Garfilo, Robin Fiscops, and Marta Piatella. They round out your top 10. We're going to cycle it through them. The rest of your finishing results here today. The Korean, we just talked about him in 11th. Avery in 12th. A poor day by Alex Simpson in 13th. Ilka Hippada in 14th. Baroni in 15th. Holtzman in 16th. The Corpse, Samaras, Sturgis and Vergis ran out your top 20. We, of course, saw the incident with Jake Sturgis early on in this event. Jorge Montanes in 21st. Miguel Martin never recovered after his incident in 22nd. Fulvio Marazzini in 23rd. Then Collap and Lindsay ran out your top 25. Then Henriksen was the last driver on the lead lap. Dimitri Yanis, Rico Latalo scored laps down. Yakola crashed out at no-name corner. Yalvaz out of the event, as was Paul Ilbrink, Tomo Medlek, Kazuki Omishima, Andre Borcha, and Antoine Heglin. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to step aside for just one moment. We'll be back with a word with your race winner and more after this. You're watching RaceSpot TV. After today's event, there are 150 points remaining in the battle for the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series of 2015. Gregor Hutu now has a 72-point advantage, and he is that close to gaining his 5th iRacing.com World Championship of Grand Prix Racing. He, once again, just dominated this race from the front. Pole position was important. Yes, he was passed at some point during this race by Mitchell de Jong, but Hutu did what many people once upon a time said never could happen. Hutu can't pass people. Well, he did that. He passed the race lead. He then dominated this race from the front. He went 28 laps here today. The only other people to lead laps, de Jong led 9, Kroenke led 2, and then 1 lap was led by Oli Picard, Hutu's teammate. So it's all about Hutu, and he joins us now here on RaceSpot TV and iRacing Live. Gregor Hutu, congratulations. Win number 52 is in the books. No one can hear me. Ladies and gentlemen, just give us one moment. We shall be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry, we do apologise for that slight quick audio delay. Gregor Hutu now joins us here on RaceSpot TV. Gregor Hutu, congratulations. Win number 52 of your career.
Yeah, thanks. You're breaking up a bit, so I couldn't hear your question, but yeah, was a tough race. Both Mitchell and Martin were really fast, so yeah, I definitely had to push the whole race, and yeah, I was actually quite surprised how long they went on the first stint, so I thought it would be tough to win this one, but in the end managed to pull together, nice laps and get to the finish line. So yeah, was a great race for me.
Now, you did get passed by Mitchell at the start of this race. What was going through your head through then, especially considering the fact that you thought that Coanda weren't going to go as long as you at the start of this race?
Yeah, I actually thought Mitchell would be kind of maybe a bit lighter or on the same fuel load. But yeah, it was quite surprising to find out how heavy they were. But then as the stint went on, I was able to pick up the speed and kind of made the same kind of move as he did on me. So yeah, then the end of the race was just about pushing to the limit. And yeah, like I said, a great race.
How mentally and physically tired are you after that when you talk about pushing? We know that Spa is a track that you can gain a tenth of a second a corner, but you can lose a second just by one simple error. So just how hard was this race for you, both mentally and physically?
Well, physically it's not hard, but mentally it's quite tough to keep the concentration going for the 4 laps. So yeah, it's really tough to avoid making any mistakes, and I think I had a clean race, so yeah, that was great.
Now, next time out we go to Suzuka. Of course, Suzuka was a track that last year gave you a headache, shall we say, down in the S's.
Yeah, just have to qualify better, hopefully on the front row or the first 2 rows, and avoid all that mayhem on the first lap. So that's the plan anyway. We'll see how it goes.
And does it make it easier for you knowing that you've now got a strong advantage with just 3 races to go?
Not much really. Like I've said before, I just go into each race trying to do my best, and I'm not going to change that. I'm going for the pole in qualifying, and if that happens, then I can go for the win as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gregor Houty, win number 52 here in the iWCGPS World Championship Grand Prix Series. Going to pass it over to Johnny. He stood by the driver who came home in third place even. That is Mitchell de Jong.
Yeah, thank you, Will. Mitchell de Jong here, 3rd place finish. And first of all, Mitchell, the big question in that race was you and Kroenke, you and your teammate Martin battling out through the early stages of the race and through most of the middle parts as well. I mean, do you really think you were holding him up quite a lot? Or do you think in the end you did have the pace to keep in front of him, and that 8, 9, 10th gap was actually feasible, and it was a reasonable gap between you two that showed your pace?
Yeah, it's really tough to say. I ran a bit of a different setup than all my teammates, kind of seeing if something else would work, and I ended up having some pretty bad snap oversteer mid to the end of a stint, so for sure the second stint was very scary. I thought I was going to crash like many laps out of that second stint, but the final one was a bit better, which was pretty good for pace-wise and things like that. But yeah, it's really tough to say. It's always you can always look back in hindsight to see what you could have done differently. But with the dynamic weather, it changes quite a bit, and it's tough to say. Martin and Greg are in a fantastic race, and they're extremely fast. So they definitely deserve those positions.
You speak about the car being loose towards the end of the stint. I mean, some drivers speak to me and they say they like to use the in-car adjustments and they help. Other drivers don't touch them at all. But, I mean, I'm not sure about you, but do you have the firm belief that helps you towards the end of the stint, not just in balance, but in lap time as well?
I think definitely, yeah, it could help. I don't usually use those things, but typically you can kind of set the car up to be good throughout the whole stint, but I think I just made a small mistake with my settings in it, and yeah, kind of bit me in the end. But it's it's one of those things. Just the little hundredths and tenths around the lap just really matters in this series. It's crazy how close everything is. So I'm still super excited with how the result is.
Finally, one race win to your name for 2015. Got another 3 rounds left, and you've only finished 5 seconds away from Gregor, who won the race, obviously, and 2 seconds away from your teammate Martin. Do you think that there's anything you need, that extra spring or that extra step? I always speak about that some drivers need. Do you think you need that? Or do you think at the moment your pace is good this race? I think maybe qualifying is the only thing you might need to work on.
Yeah, in qualifying I had a bit of a rough lap, just not the cleanest first lap, and then had some pretty bad snap oversteer in turn 1 on my second lap. Definitely need to improve that. I didn't get to do a ton of driving this week, just busy with other things, and so definitely try to get more time to practice and hope to cap a bit more. It'd be awesome to get another win, but Gregor needs to slow down a bit to do that.
Yeah, certainly. And there you go, Will, and a pleased Mitchell de Jong, 5 seconds away from the lead, and certainly something to be pleased about. A race win to his name, and maybe another one coming in the final 3 rounds.
Indeed so, as Mitchell de Jong, of course, your 2014 Pro Series champion, showing himself at the top level of sim racing once again. Now, Ollie Picardo started this race pretty well. Then it kind of fell away a little bit. Ollie, take us through your race, because you got past a couple of times. It seemed to upset the balance of your race car just a little bit. P4, was that what you wanted out of today's event?
Yeah, well, I didn't take any pressure. The championship looks like I'm pretty safely in the P3 at the moment. Hugo is behind me 30 points, and I'm not able to catch Martin unless he doesn't finish last 3 races. So I went pretty safe on this one. And, yeah, it showed I went safer with the setup comparing to Gregor, and I went safer with the first stint, which showed that yeah, I lost 5 to 6 seconds in the first stint where I should have pushed enough. So that was pretty much it. So yeah.
How hard were the track conditions?
Sorry.
So how hard were the track conditions here today for you then?
Nah, and they wasn't hard. It was surprisingly good grip over the track. But, it was a bit slippery in the qualifying. It went pretty well, but during the race it was surprisingly good grip level. So I think I didn't notice that one, so I didn't push enough. So.
You make the comment about, just settling for 3rd place in the championship, and of course that has its monetary implications. It has the fact that you get to ride the number 3 next season, so it has got a lot of positives. Have you seen this first year of being a red line driver as a stepping stone for you then, just trying to cement your position as one of the world's best sim racers, to then maybe in 2016 challenge for a world championship?
Yeah, obviously this is a great step forward for me. I've learned a lot, even though last year I was 3rd. And yeah, this year at the moment I'm 3rd position in the championship. The position haven't changed so far, but I think I have been improving my racing, getting experience, getting more advice from to the setups and mental side, and been figuring out few things in my racing. So obviously joining the Team Redline and being in Team Redline is a huge benefit for me, also for Alexi. So yeah, good thing for me.
Ollie Picardo looking to get himself another podium the next time we head out to Suzuka in just 2 weeks' time. And, well, Johnny stood by with our driver of the day, P number 5, Jeremy Bootsloop in the Radicals online car.
Yeah, driver of the day, and well deserved as well. P5, your 3rd top 5 finish of the season, Jeremy. But why aren't we seeing that more often from you? What was the reason for your excellent performance today?
Well, First, thank you. I'd say maybe the reason is the fact that we're racing on Spa, and that's probably one of my favorite track. Really a pleasure to drive the car here. So I think that helps a lot to then practice and just have pleasure. So maybe that's a reason. But well, it wasn't easy to get that top 5. I mean, I had pressure from Hugo for more than 15 laps during the last stint, so it was really hard to stay focused and not make any mistakes. But yeah, I'm very pleased with that result.
Well, Will and I spoke about during the race that you and your team, Radical, you're just incredibly fast throughout Spa, and you're always quick every time you come out here. I mean, why is that? Do you I came up with a theory that your team and yourself, you love Spa, you always test around it. It's a track that you're familiar with, so when you come here to race, you're already one step ahead of the rest of the competition. But I mean, is there any other reason you can explain as to why you and your team are just so fast around here?
Honestly, it's hard to know. I don't know, the flow of the track is quite nice, and maybe that suits better our driving style or setups. I mean, it's a smooth track, and that's kind of how my driving style is. So that's probably why I like to drive here, and I have good results here. So yeah, I think the fact that we are getting also good results here today, and for the whole team, is probably a reflect of the hard work we've been putting since the beginning of the season. So it's good to see that we are getting good results over the races, and it shows that we're working well, and that even with dynamic weather, we are still near the top guys, even though they are still too fast for us.
And finally, for championship aspirations, do you think that Alexei Siakala, a DNF for him, Mitchell de Jong scored very well today? You push him up into P5, I think maybe in the championship. Don't have the standings on me. Will back me up on that later. But do you think that maybe a top 5 finish in the championship is definitely a possibility for you, coming 9th coming into this round? But do you have what it takes over maybe Suzuka, Zandvoort, and Circuit of the Americas? Are they tracks you're confident enough of scoring really well in?
I like these tracks. Now I don't know if I'm gonna perform as well as good as here, but I think P5 is just out of reach for me, 40 points ahead, so that's way too much. And even Alexi is almost 30 points, so I mean, unless he doesn't finish his next races and I get good results, then why not? But right now I'm more focused on keeping my P7 and just taking each race separately, and try to do my best, and then see at the end where I come up.
Well, there you go, 41-point gap. Thank you for that, Will, and that's a confirmed gap between Jeremy Bootloop and P5, I believe. But anyway, back to you, and Jeremy, certainly another strong performance. Can maybe certainly finish this season on a high.
Indeed so. So, Jeremy Bootloop, I would argue that potentially the way the drop weeks work, it's not completely over, but it's going to be interesting to see how that one works. I'm just having a look up and down the field, and this is that part of the season, Johnny, where we've got to pay attention to two things. We've got to pay attention to the front of the field, and I am just doing the math, and it is 67 points officially, the gap between Gregor Hooter and Martin Kroenke. You put drop weeks, etc., ignores them into that one by now. 12 weeks are counted out of 13 starts. 67 points is the gap. 150 points on offer. More difficult than that once we get into the last 3 rounds of the season. But the battle to keep your World Championship license for next year, you've got yourself Dion Verges, 23rd, with 119 points. Alex Simpson, 24th, 114 points. Jonas Nakurian, 25th, 111 points. Jonathan Mahler, P26, with 110. Mac Backham, 108 points. And get this one, with 4 starts. Then Miguel Martin and P28 with 87 points. Now, Martin didn't need that retirement here today. I'm concerned out of those drivers I just mentioned, most about Alex Simpson, because yes, he had a good qualifying, but there seems to be this Apex Racing curse that they do well in qualifying and something goes wrong for them in the race.
Yeah, and that's, as a team, you end up sitting down not maybe live. Some teams like to just have a live debrief after the race, but I know certain teams I've been in before, you just discuss this stuff over the next couple of days after the race. Try to find a solution as quickly as you can, because in the world of sim racing, and in the real world as well, racing, you got no time. You're already preparing for the next event, what you're going to do and everything. So there's no time to waste. So they're certainly going to have to, it's been like this for a while now. If not this season, they're going to have to look at it by the end of the off season, because some of these drivers don't make or don't get a World Championship license. They're going to have to face, battles in the Pro Series and racing there, and that's not something they want to do. Alex is not the driver that should be earning his license in the Pro Series, so top 25 for him, hopefully. Mac Backham will definitely get a top 25 finish. I think Eunice Lucarano now, he's underrated. He's a guy I've always had one eye on. He's certainly an underrated driver out there, and I'm pretty sure he will get a top 5 finish. So that's an interesting talking point, and let's see how that plays out. And that's going to be quite an interesting dilemma.
I completely agree. We're going to get some words in Finnish from Ollie in a moment. We'll let Mitchell do some words in American if he wants to as well. I do think that Yao Vaz, for example, 78 points. He's had a horrific season. That's not what he'd normally want to be. Yehuebe, he's not having the season he would want to have. Riccardo Taulo, now he will somehow just find a way to get top 10s in the next 3 races. What he seems to do. If he has to run the Pro Series, he'll run the Pro Series. He'll get himself a license. But then you have a look down a little bit further. You see the likes of Fulvio Barazzini, a former race winner in the championship. He's on 34th. He will, in my opinion, be running the Pro Series of road racing. I am going to put the cutoff line, in my opinion right now, at 150 points. Which means that basically Paul Ilbrink and P number 40 in the championship above are secure. Everyone below that I say there's 150 points remaining for someone finishing in and around the 15th position. What we're realistically saying here is that these are drivers going to get a P15 or above, Johnny, when we say 150 points in total for the season. So that is why I'm saying that I think that Vergers, out of Baroni, Vergers, Simpson, Nakurian, then into Tamara, Backham and Martin. I think Martin won't get in, Backham will get in, Tamara will get in, Nakurian will be P25, Simpson won't get in, Vergers will get in, and I think Baroni will struggle.
Well, you heard it here first. So it's all predictions, though, Will. And most importantly as well is I'm glad that they don't hand out qualifying points. Imagine if you show up for the final round, you've got thousands of viewers in the sim racing community trying to find out who's going to win the championship, and then somebody wins it because of the 10 points they gained for pole position. Thank God we don't have that, and I hope to God we don't actually implement that in the near future or any time in the next 250 years. So in terms of those top 25, as you mentioned, it's going to be a battle. They're going to have to really work as hard as they've ever had over these next 3 weeks. Extra 15 minutes a day, extra half an hour will make a huge difference collectively, and that's what they're going to need. They need an extra step. I think for Alex Simpson, though, to finish P13 today, decent, but we've definitely seen better from him, and I'm really looking forward to his end to this season. He showed promising qualifying pace today, so there's something today that we didn't see from him that we're going to see on the next 3 rounds.
Yeah, just to give you an update, by the way, last year the cutoff was 133 points. However, 23rd place had 150, so we are doing some kind of statistical math here. Olli Picard, of course, 3rd place in the championship. In Finnish, Suomi, kiitos.
Joo, kiitoksia Ville. Hyvää settiä vetelet siellä. Joo, otettiin aika seivisti tää homma, että lähdettiin varmistelemaan MM-sarjan 3. paikkaa ja en kyllä ottanut yhtään riskejä. Ja siinä se näkyy, ekalla stintillä hävittiin tonne Mitchellille ja Martinille se 5-6 sekuntia, joka sitten oli siihen loppuun asti, ettei pystynyt enää, vaikka kuinka yritti puskea viimeisellä stintillä, niin ei päässyt enää sitten kiinni. Mutta aika jo meni ihan jees. Starttikin oli ok, mutta jätkät vaan paineli eilen, että ei siinä mitään. Hyvät väännöt oli Martinin kanssa, mutta lagikontaktista meinasin lentää seinille taas. Noin onneksi niin pääsin maaliin. Kiitoksia, terveisiä kisakatsomoihin ja thanks to Fanadek and OKO and my teammates. Thank you, Will. Have a good one.
Kiitos, ladies and gentlemen. Oli
Johnny as well.
there in Finnish. And Johnny, final thoughts. We knew that it was going to be another classic Commander versus Redline battle. As soon as qualifying happened, we knew kind of which direction the race would be skewed in. After De Jong got past Hootie, for a moment we thought maybe it'd be a bit different. It wasn't.
No, it wasn't, and I that's where qualifying is key. We saw it at Okayama as well. Alexei Siakala had pole. He did not clean up the race. He had the poor start, and Kroenke ran away with the lead. The early stint we're starting to see, and it's unfortunate that we're starting to see this now towards the end of the season, is that at least in 2015, that first stint has been the important one, has been pretty much the race maker and the one that's decided basically the end of the event. We saw Ollie and Gregor at Okayama catching up to Martin towards the end of the race, but when it mattered, crossing a checkered flag, it was Martin in front. So qualifying is as ever important. Next year with the DRS rules, new vehicle and everything, we'll see what's more important in that car and whether drivers will have alternate strategies. And that's why it's so important to light fuel yourself in that first stint. Something that Coanda tried today, but just because they weren't ahead on track position, it didn't work out quite well for them.
I'm just having a look for some of the YouTube comments. I can't be the only one that keeps on hearing Air Rouge from Will. Air Rouge, Air Rouge. Hey, we all say it. I don't say Rubens Barrichello, let's be honest, or Daniel Ricciardo. So,
Yeah.
We each have our strengths and weaknesses, shall we say. But, Spa, always been a great, magnificent racetrack. And, of course, we go from one magnificent racetrack to another magnificent racetrack. It will not be Championship Saturday in 2 weeks' time at Suzuka, Johnny. But if Hutu can win, in theory, it could be Championship Saturday. I'm not going to say it is. It requires Kroenke to not finish. But I think that Kroenke is going to have to start doing crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's you're going to be clutching at straws, really, as you said. You don't want to call it. We're just going to go out there and race and commentate and broadcast and see what happens. These guys are going to go have some fun. Suzuka, though, glorious racetrack. It's been the scene of misery. It's been the scene of joy. It was designed by a Dutchman, which is probably the most interesting thing you'll probably ever hear about a Japanese racetrack. And it's good to see the Dutchman working hard and producing the great specimen of that is Suzuka. I'll tell you this, though. Lots of drivers like Suzuka, and there are some that don't like it. Now, I'm on the fence here because I love Suzuka when it goes well for me, but when you're struggling around Suzuka, it is probably your worst nightmare. So expect drivers who will struggle with setup and struggle with their driving style around that racetrack to have an absolutely catastrophically and it's such a gargantuously poor race. Expect that next time out.
Well, the issue is that we talk about Spa having Sector 1 and 3 are kind of similar, Sector 2 is very different. Sector 1 at Suzuka, you need the aeromechanical grip. Sector 2, you need to be able to brake and you need to be able to keep your speed from medium speed and slow speed corners. Sector 3 is all about how you can deal with medium speed, high speed corners, and then a big braking zone, then an off camber downhill right hander, which will kick the rear end of the car out if you're not careful. Suzuka is harder than Spa. No one ever admits it.
No, it is. It is, in my opinion, Suzuka, for me, is the hardest racetrack that I've raced on in sim racing. Last year, there was only a 1 week break between, I believe we had a late season race in Australia to Suzuka, and basically being on a very small team that I was last year compared to this year, I struggled. It was my worst performance of the season, I believe, at Suzuka because didn't have a team to help me with setup. I didn't have a big amount of drivers working on setup. Didn't have the time to practice as well. And you talk about the difficulty. I was fine driving around it, but going around it fast and finding those extra 3-4 tenths is key. So if you're going to be Martin Kroenke and you're going to beat Gregor Hutu, not only are you going to have to put in half an hour's extra work just to beat Gregor, but you're going to have to put in an extra bit of work just to get your head around perfecting Suzuka.
Yeah. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to end our coverage here today on RaceSpot TV. It's been a very interesting race, shall we say, here at Circuit Spa-Francorchamps, as once again, Team Redline prevailed with Gregor Hutu. Redline taking a clean sweep of victories here at Spa this season. Well, in 2 weeks' time, ladies and gentlemen, we head ourselves over to Suzuka for round number 14 of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. It will not be Championship Saturday, but Gregor Hutu is this close to winning his 5th World Championship. Martin Kroenke has to hope that Gregor Hutu has himself as bad a situation as he did a year ago. Hope things goes his way for the remaining 3 rounds of the championship if Coanda are going to snatch that one away. But after our coverage, ladies and gentlemen, and this is serious, after our coverage, 2 weeks' time, we are going to be broadcasting an event in the memory of Justin Wilson here on RaceSpot TV, where more details will be revealed on iRacing.com over the next couple of days. We're not going to preempt that one, but if you are interested in watching that event, please feel free to do so. And don't forget, if you head over to justinwilson.co.uk, you can find out about the way that you can send donations to the Wilson Children's Fund, either you live in America, whether you live in the UK, or whether you live internationally. So please, if you are an IndyCar fan and you want to remember the life of Justin Wilson, please feel free to do so. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time. 2 amazing races, I guarantee. The World Championship at Suzuka, then remember Justin Wilson here on RaceSpot TV. Thanks for watching. Will Vincent, Johnny Simone. Talk to you next time.